God's own man. It's the Bennington Show. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Yo.
I'm Ron Bennington. That's the Who.
It is.
The Who. On a Thursday, matter of fact, it's Thursday, February 22nd, 2018. And Gail, you just told me it was 12 years to the day that Borat came out.
I did.
I guess we all remember where we were that day.
Jesse McLaren tweeted, "It's been 12 years since Borat's release. What happened to my life?
My life.
My life."
It's so odd, like how him and Peter Sellers always go together to me, even though
Right.
Yeah.
Just like the character silliness.
Just bigger than life characters that just seem to never go away.
It's so silly, but I remember that movie screened at my college. Like they did like a pre-release kind of screening. I don't know why they were doing that, just for youngsters, or I don't know what the point.
It was about getting the buzz out there. You know, we just saw this with Black Panther, where you kept hearing about screenings for like 2 months before, because like this is gonna fucking blow your mind, man.
And that whole theater was going crazy, going fucking crazy. It was one of those experiences of watching a comedy movie where I was like looking around and being like, this is getting to be too much. Like, is this really this funny? Or is it that we're just a bunch of college kids who got to see a free movie and we're like, wow! It
starts to feel like a children's party. You know what I mean? Like, there's a bunch of like Vito just looked at me like,
girl, I know what you're saying.
I forget how much Vito sees himself as an expert on children's parties. And this is the other weird thing. They're famous parents. It's always like he name checks in like the worst kind of way.
Because it's always like, instead of saying he met someone famous, it's like, you know that I played kickball with Coco Arquette, right?
Yeah, it's always
like,
that.
Always like, okay.
It's always like Gwen Stefani's kid is so sweet. I'm like, what? They offered to take me away this year on a yacht with them because they get along so good. You're gonna get in trouble one day, Vito. Is all I can see coming.
I'm just a man of the children.
How is that a job? How is some large man who's? What do you do? Like, how do you prep for your children's parties?
All right, so like I go in there usually 12 in the afternoon. That's when parties are at their hottest.
And this is at a Saturday or Sunday?
I usually work Saturdays.
Okay.
Go in there. Get
and it's
ready.
always a birthday?
Always a birthday. Sometimes bar and bat mitzvahs, though. Those are later on in the night. Those are like 8 p.m. situations.
8 p.m. gig.
So like I got to look at the schedule, see what age I'm looking at. I prefer to work the 5 to 6 year old crowd. I look up the kid's name. I look up where they're from, what sport they like. That's how I set up the colors. If they like basketball, I'm going orange and blue for the Knicks. They like football, Giants.
What do you mean set up colors where? What?
In the little pizza room.
All right, so...
This is so cute. I had no idea that decorating was part of his job. I didn't know that you...
Yeah, so, decorate the room.
You decorate it with what? Balloons?
Yeah, there's balloons, paper, plates, napkins, cups, tablecloth.
All right.
Sometimes the parents bring their own decorations that I have to help with. I put on my friendliest face. Then, like, I get to know the kids. I lead them to the basketball court, and I play this game where I go, walk like you're a dog. And then they, like, bark and, like, crawl. And then I'm like, now you're a dragon. And then they're just, like, going like that as we walk down the...
Like that. You're on the radio.
They're waving their arms up and down like a ferocious dragon. Breathing dragon. Breathing fire.
I don't see that at all.
Then we get to the basketball court, introduce myself and the other coaches. Parents, the only way they gauge their children are having a good time is by how much they scream. So I get them to scream a lot, like, "You guys having fun?" And then be like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "No, I like, are you having a good time?" And they're like, "Yeah."
Oh my God.
And parents are like, "These kids are fucking having a blast."
He's a hype man.
He is a hype man.
He's a kitty hype man.
Then we do relay races. We got scooters, potato sacks, tricycles.
So this is the difference between like my generation of kids now, right? We never needed a man to come out and get us to play games.
No,
we just started playing things. No one. This is too close to school for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like I don't want to be told when how to use my fantasy life, because now this is no longer fantasy.
I didn't like forced activities as a child, and I don't like them as an adult.
Yeah.
I would like to do activities as I please.
You don't want a man making you scream?
You would love.
Yeah. First of all, there's no reason that they should be having fun.
Like,
you made them walk like a dog and then fly like a dragon and then yell.
And then they go in the bouncy castle, and that's when the real shit gets started. They have a ball in that thing.
Yes, I get it. We all get that a bouncy fucking house is fun.
It's the best. And then after that, I go serve pizza and cake.
And that's the end of their day?
That's the end of their day with me.
That sounds terrible.
They love it. I'm one of the top.
What do you think that cost?
I believe it's for like the basic package, it's like $700.
Oh.
$700 to get a man to make you jump up and down and then eat pizza.
Not just me, a few coaches.
All right.
Are you like head coach though?
Yeah, I'm a fucking leader.
By the way, I could put this together at my house for, I'll say $75. And everything is pizza. All my expenses are pizza. And you're telling me I can make an easy $625 on my own.
But do you have the bouncy castle?
No, what's that cost me? 2 fucking phone calls and what? Another $150?
It's a good weekend gig.
No, I didn't say that you're not fucking stealing money. I think that's great. What I'm saying is there's nothing in it other than the parents not wanting to be involved.
I mean, you respect the Carney, so you're fine.
Yeah, I get it all the time, you know? Fucking make that money, but what you are providing is zero fun for people.
Yeah, this is more about the parents than the kids. It's more about the parents don't want to do anything. They want to take a step back and let me do all the work.
Why don't you just go over to their house, Mr. Mom, and live with them?
God, that nothing was worse than that feeling though of just like wanting to play or wanting to like be a kid, and then like adults were around, and you're just like, let's just wait till they leave, and then we'll start the real shit. Like it always was like you were just trying to get away from adults.
Look, I'm looking at the adults we have here, and this thing came up yesterday about some unmasked gig. And in 24 hours, they came up to me, and I said, "Yeah, I'll do it, but you know, it's a road gig rather than being here in New York." And I'm like, "So, you know, give me the details." Well, you and him would be sitting down talking about his career, and I've done 200 of these. What you're telling me is the only part of it that I know: the who, where, when, why. None of that have we figured out in 24 hours.
But you do need to be pitched on your own show.
Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And this is why, you know, I know a lot of stuff is coming up about guns, and if you have a gun around, you know, anything. This is why I don't have a rope in this fucking room.
Sure.
Because I will hang myself immediately.
No.
Or if I had a gun, shoot the rope while I'm hanging I'll hang myself and then shoot myself while I'm there. And then make the fucking detective try to figure that out. So you're saying, Vito, the modern parent wants nothing to do with his child.
Yeah, they don't. The modern parent wants a little time off from doing all the planning and doing all the like leading of the party. So we come in, you know, we lead them in fun. We serve the food, and like every time the parent tries to do something, we're like, no,
but
chill.
Nothing exciting is happening in this day. I mean, this party that you're describing takes the same parties in Iowa and Nebraska and Phoenix, Arizona. There's nothing unique that you're providing.
I mean, like, it's a pretty good facility.
Yeah, but what's the facility? It's a bouncy house.
No, I mean, we got tons of fun stuff for kids to play with. You know, we got
tricycles.
We got those tricycles. I brought those up before. Those things are a fucking hit. With the potato sack race, a great photo opportunity for the parents of their kid
but
falling.
A potato sack race has existed for 200 years.
We got nice.
And by the way, never fun.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I've won them and I've lost them, and I've had the same amount of fun either time.
Man, that just reminded me that like this is another thing. So every year my school would have field day where it was just like you go out
the Olympics.
So a good portion of that was just like a picnic and then hanging out. But then it would go back to adult controlled where they would be like, now like an egg on a spoon and now potatoes. And that was always my least favorite part. I just wanted to get to the part where we were just like hanging out with our friends outside. all day.
What you would have liked is just like a field, a shady tree, and a few cartons of cigarettes.
Yes, that's exactly what I was looking for. That's the perfect field day.
And then you're like this. No, what second base means.
Nothing's funnier than like being that age and thinking you've invented the concept of sex. Like everything, you're just like.
It all seems like it's just looming.
I just heard about something. It's called a blowjob.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy.
They're like French, but on someone's pee-pee. They confuse. Why don't you just have sex talks with kids?
I don't think that would go over really well.
Sex theory.
Especially in the 5 to 6 year old crowd.
What's the oldest you've ever done the bat mitzvah?
I've actually done an adult, like, we've had some bachelor parties and shit there. Those are not fun.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it's them playing like a mini Olympics type thing where they're jousting, they're having rock climbing races.
Oh my! Do you still have to hype them?
That one I get to just
you get them to scream.
I'm like, come on, guys, aren't we having? It's Adam's bachelor party. Everybody scream for Adam.
It's very funny because like there is something weird about adults with their birthdays now, where like you'll go to the stand and some girl will have like a stupid fucking queen thing on her head that you're supposed to ask about, and then you'll just be in the middle of this thing and you just like somebody will just say it's her birthday, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck. You know, everyone here has had birthdays. There's probably other people's birthdays and they're just sitting here forgetting about it because they're 38.
Man, I just like had this conversation because a friend of mine has a birthday every year, and this person is in their 40s, and it's like, okay, I understand wanting to do a milestone birthday. You turn 40, you want to like have your friends together for dinner.
Lordy, look who's 40.
Like, I get it, but like you can't have like a 41st, a 42nd, a 43rd, and then like expect everyone to like show up and do that
I don't
whole
even
thing.
think you should have a 15th or a 16th. You know, Vito is at the last stage that you're supposed to be excited. 6.
Yes, I mean, I definitely didn't have parties past. Oh God, I would say maybe 10. Probably like 11 is the last time I think that it was like I'm having a party. Everyone's coming to, you know, a Chuck E. Cheese or something. Like I didn't even do like 16th.
I forgot how nightmarish the Chuck E. Cheese thing was. Ugh.
But again, yes, you go to Chuck E. Cheese, but there was not like Chucky wasn't our hype man who said like it's time to play skee ball now.
There's just always some kid who doesn't feel included, or the fact he feels like everyone else is being too rough, and it's just so hard not to punch him.
Dude, anything goes in the ball pit. You know what I mean? Like, cut loose.
Yeah, but that's what they're saying. It's too rough in the ball pit. They push me face down in the ball pit. And you're like, yeah. Or if there's a pool party, someone always complains about getting their head dunked. And you're like, yes, because it's a fucking pool. This thing that you're worried about dunking is just called going underwater.
I
want to do it on my terms, though.
Management had to speak to me because I did a 10-year-old basketball party and I wasn't calling enough fouls in the game. And I was like, just let them fucking play. Like, I'm not going to keep stopping the game. And
yeah, but you can't go straight prison rules, bro.
Oh,
you know what I mean? You got to keep it.
You
gotta, yeah, of course they are. I mean, if you don't stop little kids, they just put the ball under their arm and just run down the court towards the basket. I'm glad fucking management had a discussion with you about trying to rein in some of this. So they're happy with you only being there one day a week.
Yeah, because it's only parties on the weekend, and like I've been there long enough that like I like make my own schedule.
Stop bragging, dude. You're too old to be bragging about how good you are at this. You're fucking Bill Murray and Meatballs.
You're talking to someone who has an adult job.
I'm top dog there, okay?
I mean, I gotta make my own schedule, you know what I mean?
These 19-year-olds, they don't know what's happening when I'm working a party with them.
Yeah, and I'm sure they all think you're really cool too, Vito.
I've also known people who were dancers who would be like hype dancers.
Titty dancers?
No, like for dancers for children.
Yeah.
So they would go to like bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs and they would like when the songs come on, they're like, "Hey, don't feel weird about dancing. Look, we're on the dance floor, and that we're older and cooler."
Right. They do that at weddings, even.
It's weird.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you're spending $30,000 on a wedding, you want everything to go perfect. Like you want
strangers there dancing.
Well, you're not supposed to know that they're strangers. You know what I mean? And it's somebody to dance with your fucking aunt who didn't bring a date. You know what I mean? It's basically pimping. But with the little kids, I don't know why we stopped, but we used to run a lot of kids concerts here, and those little kids, and there would be people that would be, singing songs about, I don't know, asparagus or some shit, gotta eat my greens. These little kids go fucking batshit dancing, and I will always stop and laugh my ass off.
Yeah, since I've been here, I feel like I've only seen like maybe 2 of those.
It always matters who's running channels, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes you get fucking people who care about their channels, and other times it's like that guy Aaron that used to be at the fucking Comedy Channel. What's his name?
Hodges?
Yeah. But he was just like, I don't know what we're doing. I just sit here. So my guess is that's what's happening at some of the children's. There's fucking Aaron Hodges has been moved over there.
They need a shake up over there.
I'd be running fucking nonstop concerts. Well, the guy that was running one of the kids' channels, he used to run the Unmasked for us when we started that. And that's when we used to, throw a fucking ton of work into the Unmasked and really make them nice. And then he was the guy that would book all these kids. He would come up from D.C. with these shows, and they would just be crazy. Just kids losing their shit about adults playing guitars and singing about, I don't know, puppies and shit like that.
There's nothing funnier than like kids who are just like cutting loose because you're just like your whole life is cutting loose. You're like, I feel like I can really be myself for once.
You know how like when you're an adult and you go to a party and you just start getting fucking wasted, and before you know it, you're doing, you're just exploding and dancing on tables and shit. Kids do that without the alcohol. Like they just go, this is a party. Yeah. Like they get in their head, this is the time to go nuts.
Like we're all just trying to get back to that feeling.
Yeah.
That you could just be free.
Yeah. Maybe that's the whole thing of drugs and alcohol, is because you don't know how as an adult just to go, I'm going to take 2 hours. Just fucking go crazy.
I worked a kids' party boat, and that shit was outrageous. Like a DJ on the boat, kids just dancing, going nuts, and it was like a bunch of kids getting all fucked up and just dancing.
It is. They in their minds, they're getting wasted.
Because, okay, if you think about this, behaviors that you have seen drunk people do.
Yeah.
If you saw a sober person behave that way, positive or negative, you would be like, that person's a psychopath. Like, what's wrong with them? Like, even if it was just cutting loose and going crazy and jumping up on a table and dancing, you'd be like, he's nuts.
Not only that, but how many times people just come over and go, I love you, man, and I don't give a fuck who knows it. Imagine if there was like a sober person just that fucking was like holding the back of your head, forcing you to look into their eyes while they told you how much they love you.
But then we make ourselves all feel comfortable by going, oh, he was drunk, so it's totally fine. Yes. He's not really like that.
He doesn't really love me at all. He doesn't have that level of respect for me. He just was wasted. I can deal with that. That's like when I first started reading about the Japanese, is like you can get drunk over there and scream at your boss and call him a fucking asshole, and the boss just lets you go, man. You're just like,
well, there's a kind of understanding that happens with that because one, they are not as accustomed to alcohol as far as like they physically can't handle it very well, and then two,
that's racist.
No, it is true. That's why they get flushed.
Oh, all racism stuff is true. You know what I mean? I didn't say it wasn't true. I just said
an Asian friend told me this. I didn't even know.
Hey, I have black friends telling me shit about themselves too. I get it. I'm not allowed to say it.
That and that just like the kind of how intense their work environment is and the expectation between those two things, they're just like, yeah, people go nuts sometimes.
You know, everyone always says about their work, like, how come every product they've ever made is shit, though? And when we just hear about what great workers they are, and then if you buy anything from there, it's just garbage. But I do like that idea of you just able to yell at your boss and just fucking call them names.
Yeah.
And by the way, the thing about the Asians, they're so much further behind than we are in Time's Up and woke.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're just fucking Looney Tunes when it comes to office inappropriateness.
Yeah, they are not good with that, or just not groping people on public transportation.
Yeah. Chris has a Chican shirt or whatever the fuck that is.
Chican.
How's it pronounced?
Chican.
Yeah, that's what their public groping they actually have a name for. That's how fucking common it is. It's just being on a train.
And that's when they like stuff everyone in super tight and then everyone's like, hey, any man's game here.
But I got to say this, you know how uncomfortable it is to be jammed into a train. So anything that could take your mind off it, whether it's positive or negative. I wouldn't even mind like little knife fights just to make me forget that I was on a train. So much chillier today. We actually missed the heat of the day yesterday when we were working, but it got over 80.
Wow, that's insane.
It was like 78 when I left here like 5:30 last night.
It's very weird to just drop a day like that in the middle of winter. It's very strange.
Today it's much chillier, and like today feels odd. Instead of yesterday being an odd day, you're like, oh, what's with this?
Well, like, don't you always feel like once you hit a certain temperature, yeah, you just want to go, okay, we've hit this, so we can't go back. And anytime you have to go backwards, it's upsetting. Like when you think that you're putting your winter coat away, and then like a week later, the cold comes back, and you're like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, people forget that it will sometimes snow during a Mets game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there are years, just be like April 4th, and you'll get 2-3 inches of snow.
Well, you remember also like last year remember that super bad snowstorm, and we stayed here in the city. We all stayed at hotels.
Was that last year?
I think that was like mid to late March. I think that was like pretty late in the year.
So bizarre.
And that was like the worst snow of the year.
Yeah, of course you can get that really big snow from this point on. And this is, we're in February, and there's a lot of years like February that your friends are just like, I can't take it anymore.
I know.
And I think it was weird that Vito and Chris had the lingering colds and me and you didn't get it. And they were both mad when we were putting them in the other room, but it fucking worked.
They were in sickness timeout, and it really worked for us.
Yeah.
We quarantined them in that booth. They all got sick. Jen got sick. The whole team ended up getting sick.
2 of our interns died.
Yeah.
And then Chris got so sick that he let himself get bullied into having his fucking lungs looked at and his stupid liver. And now he's not drinking.
Anything like this.
Now he's not drinking as a way to repair the liver.
I think that's how it works.
That's the only medicine he knows, not hurting himself. All of his sickness and disease has been self-inflicted. Double elimination tomorrow night, huh, Vito?
Yeah.
Who's going? Just say it now.
I'm going to say Marissa.
Tomorrow, and then who's the second?
Brandy.
All right, remember that he said that.
I will.
And then the whole thing ends when? Sunday?
Sunday.
So stupid.
It's really dumb.
I'm so proud of myself for not fucking letting you drag me into that. Even though I've seen it, I know I hated it before it started.
The episode before last night where Meta like pretty much self-evicted, I was like, I'm seriously not going back. This is stupid. Last night I watched the episode, complained the entire time, and I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? I feel like I have to see it through.
Hype man. Big brother hype man.
We having fun yet?
No.
Bark like a dog.
That's fucking sick, dude.
Yeah, it sounds
that was
sexual.
the worst one to use.
Yeah.
Breathe like a dragon.
Okay, again.
Why? Why is that fun?
I don't know. Kids like a lot of shit.
Good. So find something that shows respect for them that they like, instead of whatever weird S&M game that you're into. This might be one of the reasons why you can't find a nice girl for yourself.
Why? 'Cause I'm too busy in the bouncy castle?
No, but that's where your interests are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You go out on a date and you're like, bark like a dog. I breathe like a dragon. I'll start bouncing up and down on this. And you don't call them the fouls. You run too rough of a fucking game.
Women don't like that. You know what I mean? They're like tough but fair.
Vito's always yelling party foul about stuff anyway.
That's my main call in the basketball game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that it's probably a lack of maturity that isn't helping you in the dating game, though. And also, I think, honestly, a bit of a lack of interest. Like, I don't think he has the passion for it.
The word you're looking for is gay. Vito, you're accepted.
I'm
here.
not gay.
I know, but I'm saying if you are, you couldn't be in a better place or time.
I know, and it's a good time, and you've got friends here who will support you.
I get all that, and I appreciate it.
Coworkers, I mean.
But I'm not gay. I can just appreciate a dude has a good bod on him.
Bod? What's your fucking hurry? You can't add the body.
I don't know. Body makes it seem more real. Bod. Like a dude's saying I like a dude's body makes me think about it more. But a bro bod. That's worse.
Fucking life and times. Vito Calisi. What a fuck up. Hey, Joe in New York. What's up, Joe?
I'm just talking. You're talking about the weather. We're strange. It seems to be the norm nowadays. Last year at this time, we also had 70-degree weather, 75-degree weather.
It's the new normal.
The Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
So the new normal, mid-February.
But why? That's what I want to know. And I know people get mad if you bring up global warming, but the fact the weather patterns are certainly changing.
It's definitely strange.
The difference in climate and weather. Yes, we are. I mean, we've been here a long time, except if you believe Black Earl. We've been here a really long time, so things are changing. Got to get used to it. No, embrace the change.
Okay, I'm going to, man. Thanks. Embrace the change.
Did he say that? Does Black Girl think that we've not been here for a very long time?
Black Girl thinks we've been here for 6,000 years because of the Bible.
Oh, really? Yeah. I didn't know he thought that.
Oh, yeah. He's a Christian.
I wasn't aware.
Oh, he's a heavy Christian. All black guys are. Any black guy that isn't hip-hop, and even most hip-hop guys, they're heavy Christian.
What?
They're not questioning people.
Yeah, I guess I would. I believe, but I would have thought it would have been more like, like, oh, my family, that's my background, Easter.
No, that's what white people do. That's what white people do. Black people believe. And everyone thinks, like, when the hip hop guys say, like, first of all, without God, and they all laugh about it and say, no, they believe that's why they're successful.
Right. Because
they have a faith. And in Earl's background, he doesn't believe that you question that faith, that questioning the faith or using science or what somebody would call common sense is blasphemy.
Wow, I did not know that about Earl. Man.
Know what about all those dudes? Any guy that you meet, all the black guys. All except for Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Right. He's science, first and foremost.
And you never see him hanging out with a lot of black guys. You know what I mean?
True.
Like, you never see black guys go, you know who I like? Neil deGrasse Tyson. White people love Neil deGrasse Tyson.
They're obsessed.
Black dudes don't even bring him up because they think saying his name brings fucking the devil back. And that's the deal. That's what you got to watch out for. Mike in Philly.
Hey, Ronnie B. I just wanted to talk about something that was a little back there in the conversation.
Sure.
But, like, some people, they don't take care of themselves a little bit like Chris Stanley used to, but they have just such good constitution that they sort of eke on in life forever. It's not a great life, but they will go on for fucking ever.
Well, what,
you know?
Well, the perfect example is our president who is 71 years old, eats fast food, refuses to exercise besides golf, and then they take him in and they look at him, and everybody wants him to get like a bad medical thing, and they're like, no, he's great, because he's got good genes. And you could say, oh, somebody has good genes, but then when the white supremacists say that's why things are successful, everyone gets mad at them. But the best thing that you could do health-wise is to have parents who lived and grandparents who lived.
But it is kind of interesting because genetically, your best bet for having good genes is actually mixing races and mixing backgrounds, or even mixing like different.
First of all, I didn't know this.
Well, for example, like there are certain diseases that are most common, let's say if you're Irish, or most common if you're Ashkenazi Jew, or most common if you're African or of African descent. And so you have a genetic, I forget what it's called, but it's like
disposition or something.
It's like you can pass that trait on. You don't have that disease, but then you pass it on. So then the person that you have a child with might not have that same background, right? Like you might be African and they might be Jewish, and so therefore that genetic thing that makes you vulnerable to something is patched up. Now, I don't know if you're vulnerable in some other way, but I always think that that's kind of an interesting thing, that the idea of genetic superiority was this idea of, like the white race or the master race, that concept.
But that may work well as long as you stayed in that one part of the world. You know what I mean? Like if you are an African, it's probably best that your people were Africans for a long, long time. If you're from Norway, probably best for you.
Right.
But when you move, when you're from Norway and you move to fucking South Florida.
And then you become susceptible to things that you weren't.
Exactly.
I see, yeah. So maybe as like, let's say, countries that are very, where you have lots of different types of people and you're exposed to lots of different things, then if you're mixed race or even just mixed background, makes you
what
stronger.
Did all this, and somebody was talking about this the other night at the stand, is boats. Like before boats, you know what I mean?
Right.
Everybody was just okay where they are. Because if you look at all the early civilization, it was just wrapped around the Mediterranean, and that's it.
Right.
People weren't walking places to trade. You know what I mean? But if you had a boat, you're like, no, you got to get out there, man. It's unbelievable. You haven't been to Cairo yet? It's fucking crazy.
Concept just seems so nuts, though. Like with just a primitive understanding of geography or just where you were headed, and you're like, I've heard that it's just out this way. So we're gonna
Well, can you imagine that you would be on a boat, a wooden boat, and then you hit Hawaii? You just came all the way from fucking Europe, and you're on this scumbag boat with salted meat, and I don't know what else they had for food.
It had to be salted meat and pickled things. I mean, what else could you eat that wouldn't spoil during that time?
I mean, talk about what had to be the worst fucking diet of all time. And I'm wondering if those people just forced themselves to eat. Like they didn't want it.
Right.
But food was almost medicine. Like you have to take this.
Is that what it's like scurvy? Because they had no vitamin C?
No vitamin C whatsoever. So they would always try to have some citrus. And that's where limey comes from, because they had to eat a fucking lime just to try to get something in their body. And then you show up at a fucking island paradise, right? And then they're like, okay, 3 days, let's leave again. You're like, fuck you, man. I'm going to run from the hills with these fucking titties that are just fucking hanging out here. But how did you even know what the fuck you were going to hit? Because you had a sextant? That's the weird thing. I couldn't understand a sextant now if you gave me all the fucking time in the world.
No.
I'm still struggling with Waze. And they're fucking literally telling me where to turn. But no one ever really tells the story of what it was like to be in Hawaii and fucking Tahiti or something, and they just suddenly look out and here comes these ships with people who look nothing like you, speak a different fucking language. I mean, that's Close Encounters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just flat out aliens have come. You're hoping they're nice, but they're not.
I wonder if that's why we have just like that idea of alien invasion or what that is. Because and everybody who is anybody like has experienced that, right? As the travelers came in, somebody was like, "What the fuck is that?" Like the first.
Yeah, it's never been good news.
Yeah,
it's more likely to be the Mongols than anything else,
right?
And those motherfuckers would just ride in, rape the women, and then peel the men's skin off. Like, what the fuck for, dude? What is your fucking problem?
I said I'd give you some of this food.
Yeah. What is it you want? Shiny rocks? We have some. Stop peeling everyone's skin off. Why can't you just kill them? Why are you skinning people? You're fucking terrible. Just the fucking worst. The worst people are the ones who traveled. Fucking cool people stay still. You know? Cool people literally chill. And fucking assholes just go, let's go out and find shit.
Rip some skin.
Oh. The world's history just sucks. Such a fucking gorgeous planet and a bunch of fucking dicks just running around. Decade after decade, century after century. People acting like fucking morons, like vicious morons. And now we're wondering why, what do we have to have guns in schools? Yeah, this is why everyone wants guns. There's a long history of people being dicks. So what do? We're going to load up the teachers with guns.
It's a good idea. I don't know what, if they think about that concept like an action movie. I think anybody who owns guns or you shoot guns would know that it's a skill to have good aim. It's not easy. So the idea of just teachers with handguns who are just going to roll behind a desk and take out a kid is just
well, you never even test it until you do it. You know what I mean? You could be the best sharpshooter in the world. Doesn't mean that you're going to be able to do that properly when you're under fire. And then the other part of it is this. One of the coach who got killed, right?
Yeah.
This guy was coaching 5 different sports because they don't have the fucking budget. And he was getting no money for any of that overtime work, right? So this is where the budgets on the school already are. So we're going to take that money and turn it into training people to shoot at targets. We're fucked. We're so fucked. And the last thing I'd want if I had a bratty kid is a fucking person with a gun dealing with them. Because if I'm teaching, I'm probably going to kneecap a couple of those fucking kids. I'll shoot them in the ankle. I'm not going to shoot them in the head. But I wouldn't be able to put up with this shit that Vito puts up with.
That's true. Most parents don't trust teachers with anything. They don't even believe them when they have a bad test score or they say that they've done something wrong. But you're going to trust them to have a gun a couple feet away from your kid while they're acting like an asshole?
Ugh. Hey, Josh, what's up?
Hey, I was just going to make a comment about skinning people.
Please do.
Why they would do it. So, obviously, it's not everyone, but a lot of that was around you'd go into a place, people would fight back, you'd win, and you'd skin them all. Someone would get away. So the next place you'd go to, you'd kind of send someone ahead and say, hey, you can just give us all your stuff, and maybe we'll kill some of you, or you fight back, and then when we win, we're going to skin everyone. And so it was kind of an intimidation tactic to make the next trip into the next village.
Yeah, but how did they even hear those stories? You had to be the one who told them. You're like, hey, 100 miles from here, we skinned some people.
Yeah, just make it up.
Yeah,
you could just say that.
I would believe you if you said it. You don't have to actually skin people. And yeah, you can have all the shit. Mitch in Virginia, Mitch.
Yeah, I wanted to say that I don't, if they arm the teachers or even just put up signs saying that they are armed, no one's going to go in there and shoot anybody. That's what I think. I think that that would be enough deterrent because
there isn't
only the soft targets are the ones that's going to be attacked.
First of all, there isn't a deterrent like this because these people are prepared to die. All right, they're not robbing banks.
Right,
right?
Exactly.
They're going on a suicide mission that they take people out with them.
Nor are they afraid to get in trouble. They're not, you know what I mean? Like
That's a good point.
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck about anything. They're already batshit by this point. They're already fucking all hopped up on whatever fucking ADD drugs and video games you've given them over the last 17 years.
Right.
You know, just think, for fucking years they've been cranked up playing first-person shooter games. They don't know where the hell they are from one second to the next.
I saw someone bringing up the point that, you know, in the case of like Reagan being shot or JFK, these people were surrounded by people with guns to protect them. And so if you have a mission to do something, that is not a deterrent, to just know that there's a gun nearby.
I mean, personally, I don't understand the mind of anyone who says, I want to die and I'm going to take out people with me. I guess you're in such fucked up, shitty pain. I don't know. Or you're just so whacked out, you don't know what reality is. But I get somebody going, I'm going to jump off the bridge. I can't take this pain anymore. But the whole thing is, I'm going to blow up the bridge with me. Speaking of which, look up this story about Chevy Chase getting into a fist fight yesterday on the Tappan Zee Bridge.
Really?
Yeah, apparently the guy fucking roundhouse kicked him.
Holy shit.
They pulled off the road together to fight. People, this fucking shit with road rage is so strong.
It's intense. I don't know why people fuck with it either. Like, when people start getting tough with the beeping and cutting people off and doing all that, like, you don't know. You could be dealing with a nut. You could be dealing with a nut, and you probably are.
Well, people know that when they're in that road rage, they're kind of nuts. They're like, what's with this motherfucker? Well, he's in traffic like you. He's in traffic like you are. Here's Joe. Joe, what's up?
Yeah, just thinking back to when I was in high school, I had a few teachers where I think if they had guns, given the opportunity, they would have taken out half the class.
I know they had a right to. There's no doubt in the classes that I was in. Nobody, and if I don't think the jury would have convicted any teacher that would have shut up any of the classes that I was in. They would have been like, "Hey, these kids were fucking pushing it." Kyle, what's up?
Hey, I haven't heard any argument. You know, if we arm teachers, you get some, you know, little lady, you know, a year away from retirement, and you got some big veto-sized motherfucker in the room. You know, who's to say he's not just going to overpower them and take it? It's kind of making it, you know, giving them more of an opportunity.
Yeah, I don't know where the guns are going to be kept. Obviously, they're not going to be wearing some kind of shoulder holster that a kid can come up and grab the gun.
And they're not going to be aiming at all times.
Yeah.
Like, they're not just going to be teaching their lesson with a gun pointed at the children.
But you also know how many of those teachers just let some kid fucking grade the papers. So you know they're going to go like this. All right, I got to go take a shit. Here's my fucking gun. Just hold it down here. I mean, I don't see, the thing is, Trump doesn't realize he's never even been around like for a fucking fire alarm at a school. It's fucking crazy.
It's crazy.
Everything is disorganized and done improperly in a school. All you have to do is watch World Star and see how many classrooms go fucking nuts with violence.
Also, and how oftentimes teachers have zero control of that.
Right.
Like, teachers are just people. They're not our best or even our brightest. They are people who this is what they do for a living.
Just regular
and
folks.
Some of them are great at their jobs and some of them aren't. I mean, I had a middle school teacher who sat on his desk and flipped it over because it was like on these 3 times in one semester.
Because he was stupid.
He would just forget that the desk didn't hold his weight and he would sit on it. Like, you want that guy to have a gun? Like, that's the dude who's going to have a gun?
No, I mean, if we're really saying we need guns in school, by all means, hire security. Okay? I mean, if that's where we are, I want a person who's only thinking about, I'm the guy with the gun. I don't want anybody who's like, I got a lot of papers, I got to get bullets. That's crazy.
I know, you have teachers like say that they buy their own like school supplies and all the stuff that
Right.
goes like construction paper and shit.
Hey, Ted in Rhode Island.
Hey, buddies. So every time they talk about arming teachers, all I can think about is the time that my 7th grade teacher got his eye caught in the Xerox machine, and as it was pulling him in, all he did was scream while we all just laughed at him.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't met a lot of teachers. I think they should be armed. They're the ones. By all means, just add cops or a wall, whatever you need to do. But we can't trust the teachers. Hey, Sheldon. Sheldon, what's up?
Hey, I'm a psychology professor at a small college in the East Bay of San Francisco. We're grappling with this right now with our campus police. They want to carry guns, and I don't want them to. The reason for that is several things. One of them is we're in a very affluent area where the median housing price is in the millions. There's no crime here. There's no violence on our campus. The other one is that in the presence of weapons, people become more likely to become violent, not less likely. So you need to have a very good reason to have a weapon.
Well, let's go back and talk about this last school. That's also a place that's pretty affluent. Apparently, it was a pretty good school when you see how good these kids can express themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty amazing. They're not a bunch of dumb kids.
No.
So the fact that, of course, this is one kind of freak kid in the middle of this scene who came in to shoot everybody up, you know?
Yeah.
It's not a normal scene. Is there much more of a chance that something could go wrong with those guns?
Right.
On any other day? Yeah, I think that would be.
Do you think that that is true, what he said about being around people with armed creates a more hostile environment versus...
When I was younger, I used to keep this fucking kind of metal steel thing in my car in case I had a road rage incident, right? And finally I was like, I gotta get rid of this fucking thing because I'm fucking drawing it out all the time. I'm jumping out of this car with this basic barbell, small, fucking foot-long barbell ready to fucking smash somebody in the head. And because, I mean, if you have a tool, the natural inclination is to use that tool.
Right. Yeah, that is very true.
And if I was in a fucking school with a bunch of loudmouth kids, I'd be drawing that shit out and saying, say it one more time.
Yeah, how long would that take for students to have to be like, he pulled his gun on us when he told us?
Well, then why did you say fart pants when you know for a fact I didn't fart? You fucking know for a fact no one in this room farted. So I'm tired of your fucking smart-ass mouth. Put your mouth on this fucking gun. And fucking tell me where your homework is. Tell me where your fucking homework is right now. I'll blow the back of your fucking head off. Now my last name is Scrubsky, not Tubsky. Fucking say it again. You don't understand extra weight because you're 15 years old. Believe me, when you're 40, you will get it. Tyler.
Scrubsky lost it.
Yeah. Scrubsky lost his shit, man. There's no fucking keeping it together. Tyler.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I was just driving to work and it just popped in my head. An easy way to solve all this is just to go ahead and take those Boston Dynamic robots and arm them and have them patrol in the hallways.
Dude, I mean, you're joking, but you know that that's the answer eventually.
I know.
Killer robots.
I feel like that's where it's going. So
Yeah.
let's just, get ahead of it and go ahead and implement that system.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, Tia, what's up?
Hi. I don't even think we should have more guns in schools. I think we should treat them how we treat airport and court, where you have metal detectors, and just keep it a gun-free zone except for maybe a security guard.
Well, I mean, there's a metal detector wasn't going to save you in this case. This is a kid running through. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
He didn't have it hidden in his book bag. He wasn't even part of the school anymore.
Yeah.
He came into a school, and I'm sure you can look at the security of locked doors or getting into the parking lot, whatever.
Yeah.
But here's the problem, even with a lot of that. things get lax because it had never happened at the school before. The chances of it happening again are not there. It's just a one crazy fucking day that a lunatic had an assault rifle.
Yeah.
Now, could he have hit everybody with a car? Yeah. But he didn't. That isn't the thing that we're talking about. Could he have run around and stabbed people? Not as many. Nothing's going to happen about this. I can't believe that I get dragged back into it again. Nothing is going to happen because the only people who care about guns, right? That's the only thing that they care about. It's their only political issue is the NRA. That's it. That's all they fucking care about. Nothing else. And they're going to outwork the people who are trying to come out with these other solutions. Here's Dan in Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm calling back. The couple of quick things. One is teachers we don't want to go down the route of arming teachers because you'd have to take into consideration things like malpractice insurance then for a
Absolutely.
teacher in case something gets happened. But the thing we need to take away that will help us with all of this is T-ball trophies. Because these kids, it's not so much the guns and it's not so much the mental health, it's the society we live in where they do not know how to deal with failure. And when things in the real world hits them when they're 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, and all of a sudden life isn't, they're not getting an award for doing jack squat.
Well, let's even take it back before that. Let's say that the basic American dream. What are we texting about?
Just setting a call up, that's all.
Huh?
I'm setting a call up for later today.
What's that mean? Setting a call up?
Sure.
About a possible event.
Okay, this is why you got to pick one of these things to do. You know what I mean? One side or the other. All right, the American dream that somehow you could be a billionaire, right? That sets up a lot of these I can't believe it. One of the bad things about having a dream or a fantasy is that you never set up the awful things in your head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're living a fantasy life, you're winning the Super Bowl, not fucking throwing a pick in a small school. You know what I mean?
Right.
So everybody thinks in the back of their mind, and we tell kids, you can be anything. You can be anything. But it doesn't mean that you ever will be.
Right. So, I mean, do you think that has an effect on people in society enough
Absolutely.
to have
a lot? Absolutely, because here we are in a society where we have so much. And what do your friends think about most of the time? What they don't have.
Yeah.
And what they don't have is stuff. And what they don't have is the admiration of strangers. Somehow this has become the number one fucking thing, is that you have money and strangers applaud when they see you.
Yeah.
Vito just told me yesterday he was out front. And a very well-known person came up, and Vito said, screamed at their Uber driver, and then yelled and pushed their way away from people who admired them and wanted them to sign stuff. No one fucking tells you that even when you are rich and famous and successful, life still sucks. We don't have that thing.
Yeah.
Because we lie to each other through marketing all the fucking time. Tony Robbins is a fucking liar. And everyone buys into it because the dreams sound so great. But Tony Robbins doesn't tell you, last night I was just staring naked in a window going, why am I here? What happened to me? You know what I mean? Where's the person I wanted to be? Because that's also the human condition.
Right.
But we don't fucking tell each other that.
And we also don't understand that not everything that involves success or happiness is within our control. Some things we cannot control and change.
Yes, that's true.
So like that idea of, when you're being sold a product or you're being sold the idea of the American dream, the idea is the power is within you. you can do anything you put your mind to. You can be a millionaire if you try really hard. And so there is that thought process. So then when you just don't feel good, when you are unhappy with yourself, you're like, there's something different about me because I can't achieve
I'm
this
not
thing
doing it enough. I'm not doing all the things. So fuck. Or somebody else has ruined my dreams. We are precious about that. Kevin, South Carolina.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
What I want to know is at what point in time is all we hear about is the guns, and of course people can't get killed if there aren't the guns. But over the last 20 years at least, kids have been so desensitized by movies, TV, games, and that kind of stuff. At what point in time are they going to take their responsibility in this?
Well,
you got dudes like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck that go out and just scream and be anti-gun. But at the same time, how many of these people do they kill a year in a movie?
Well, let's talk about, because first of all, it isn't the last 20 years. It's been your entire lifetime, right? Your entire lifetime that what we go to see movies are basically action movies. And, you know, it's Die Hard. And this guy basically saves the day because he can use a gun, right? Mm-hmm. We love that story, right? We could blame Hollywood, but what is it about us?
Right.
What is it about us that love that story so much?
Right.
You know?
And we have discussed this before, but of course, other countries have access to the same movies we do, and love this. They watch American movies. Most countries, most of the movies they watch are American movies. So there has to be something about our psychology.
Before we even get beyond that, what is it about any human being that wants to see people get killed over and over? Is it a fear of death?
Yeah,
Is it just a straight fear of death that we get to do that? Because I know that people get very upset when we bring up, you know, does our stuff come from porn? Does that fuck us up? Everybody's willing to say, yeah, porn's kind of fucked up. But why are you searching out murder movies?
Yeah,
every day. We all do it.
Yes, I mean that has to be some sort of mixture of the fear and fascination with death, just like the same way roller coasters or extreme sports or any of those things.
But also, let's say that part of Kevin came up with a good point, but he wants to use it to blame Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, the stars of Good Will Hunting, rather than say the audience. We never look at, hey, what is wrong with us? The audience. Why do we love to see people pummel each other in the ring? Or octagon? Why do we love football when people fucking pummel each other?
Well, one thing is
I can tell you, as somebody, I did time in the military, I did time in law enforcement, and as a person who has seen a lot of violence, I could care less about watching those types of movies. It just has no appeal to me, but also I'm your age. Yeah. When we were kids, I grew up a little bit north of Atlanta. We were in the country, but we were on the outskirts of Atlanta. When we went to school in the wintertime, a lot of us would go hunting. We had farms and everything else. We carried shotguns to school. You know, we had coaches that we could actually.
Well, there's still plenty of places where kids have the shotgun in.
Why were we not having kids that were doing this then? I've watched my share amount of it, but what is the difference now that makes it just to where they're just wanting to go out and do it?
And see, to me, that's the this is the central question that we go by and we get on. And like, if you watch that shit that CNN put on last night, it was just feeling great about beating up on Marco Rubio, and Marco Rubio was willing to do it because that's going to work for his political stuff, but we got nowhere with that. The stuff with Trump sitting yesterday quietly, he had a cheat sheet to say, you know, what to say. Maybe maybe that is the beginning of this, but it certainly would have to be done every day. But what his central point was a great one. Why? Yeah. What is it? And let's remember, you can cure. No, we don't even have to cure. 99% of people who watch violent movies are not going to be affected.
Yes.
So it can't just be that. But fuck if it doesn't seem like that can't be part of it. Guns, 99% of people could be having guns on them maybe and not be You'd have no concern about them shooting anybody, but that's got to be part of it. All this shit has to be part of it. But it doesn't seem like we're ready to do the heavy lifting that it takes to fucking figure it out.
One of the students spoke yesterday, said almost exactly what you had said a couple days ago, of just like, we're not in the position to really take anything off the table. So if you want to discuss better security in schools, if you want to discuss mental health, and you want to discuss gun control, let's put it all on the table, because we're not in a position at this point to go, well, that one doesn't work with my party, but this one does. Like, every party needs to throw it all on the table and step back, even if it is.
But they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
None of the parties are going to do that because they all have money involved.
Yeah.
Okay. They all have something to lose. All of them. So they're not going to do it. We're not going to do the real stuff that it takes. Will in Wyoming. Will.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hey.
You can arm the teachers all you want. The problem is you've got to be able to stop that shooter before they get into that classroom. You can't wait till he hits the door of the classroom for a teacher to pull a gun to stop him. By then it's too late. Hallways are full of kids.
Yeah, this kid came in and shot everybody in the hallways after pulling a fire alarm, trying to have some chaos. And where were you going to find that? You know, maybe you would have saved a couple, but you still would have had a mass shooting, no matter which way you look at it. I guess if you could have stopped him somewhere between the parking lot and the front door, you would have had more lives saved. But how are you going to figure out who he is? These are things that are worth discussing without fucking pointing at people on either side. James in Utah.
Yeah, Ronnie, I've got the solution to this. We need to get rid of schools. Get rid of schools. Get rid of school shootings.
Well, there's
problem solved.
Yeah, there's no doubt that is on the table, and there is no doubt that probably isn't going to be something in our future. That having the kids leave the home and go to that school is becoming less and less.
Wouldn't you think it'd probably be easier to do that than get rid of guns?
Well, and certainly I would say this: do they need to be there as much as they are? You know what I mean? Do we still need school 5 days a week? A big reason why we have schools is it's also a babysitter. You know what I mean? This is a place for the kid to be every day because the parents are out. But no, I think it's insane to think that you have to be there. I mean, we're seeing in our industry where people work less and less here. There's very little reason for anybody on our show or any of the shows here to be at work the way we used to be at work. Most of the production can even be done from people's homes.
Yeah.
Which is shocking to somebody who's been in this business as long as I have. Here's Sean. Sean, what's up?
Hey, it just came into my head. I don't know, listening to all this again and again, but
yeah.
I think maybe the biggest problem, what really maybe made this worse than it was before. I mean, there's always been people killing other people. There's always been, people shooting other people. But I think the internet really kind of blew it up. This kid even posted something somewhere to kind of get that little hint, to get it out there maybe to, he's going to make himself famous. I'm going to be a professional school shooter. And it just...
So you think it's the internet?
I think that's probably one of the biggest culprits where... guys before had depression look at One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. They used to electrocute you if you didn't think the right thoughts, But now it's the internet, and these people go down in history. I looked it up for my girls because I'm trying to have this discussion with them in a tasteful way about what's happening, in the world. And I looked up mass shootings, and Christ, the list is unbelievable. But it's just the internet and the news coverage has made it so glorified, and I really appreciate the fact that sometimes when it's covered that they don't say, I'm not going to say the person's name, but I'll be damned if the next person and the next person and the next person sure as hell is.
Well, here's the thing where you say, okay, it's a way to be famous, but like anything on the internet, just for a couple of days.
Yep.
You can't think of the names of the people The guy that shot up the school in Virginia, I remembered was an Asian kid because that was a rare thing. I remember the kid in Colorado because they compared him to the Joker, but I couldn't tell you the name.
Right.
You know what I mean? I know one of the kid who shut up a church was like a Nazi or a white supremacist only because it was a black church. I don't think you really do become famous. You know what I mean?
And I think that, again, that's also like this problem that we all have. I have it, where you're trying to rationalize what somebody who would think that way, and we're using things that are touchstones for us, like fame or anger or fear, and I don't think that they're operating on the same level because they have zero empathy. So how could they be operating on the same level? So I'm not so sure the same things really motivate them.
Well, I'm going to agree with you. We always find out that they've seemed to have struggled in some way before. I saw a thing that came out the other day that said the one thing that we know is that they're boys. They're always boys. We haven't seen, and they tend to be white boys. Why? I couldn't tell you. But boys have always been dangerous. You know, the Khmer Rouge was just boys. When you see some of those African fucking drug lords or gun lords or whatever, they have a bunch of boys working for them.
Yeah.
Boys are a scary thing. And it's why we have stuff like football and after school boxing and shit. Just a way, like, hey man, here's how to do that right. You get to do the same shit, but, you know, you do it the right way. Hey, Jason. Jason, what's up?
I'm sort of coming in on the tail end of the conversation, but I got intrigued.
Oh, yeah.
Because my concern is, I don't understand the logic of the debate. It's not gun abolishment. It's just gun control, limiting access, and pushing more personal responsibility on people who say, I want to own a gun. Why would that be such a bad thing? Why does everyone seem to think it's all or nothing? Either give me my gun, no question, or you're trying to, limit my freedom.
So what you'd want to see, is heavy control.
No, not heavy control, just logical, practical control. Because you're not going to stop people from killing other people if they want to. I don't care what you do. So all of this stuff about metal detectors and armed guards and stuff like that, no, but take take the idea of let's just try to limit the core act and then let it trickle down as it may, because there's still going to be murder, there's still going to be death. But if you can somehow control it a little bit, then everyone feels a little bit better about, how people get access to weapons.
All right, thanks, bro. Here's Nelson in Ohio.
Hey, Benningtons, how you doing?
What's up?
Hey, people keep talking about the gun control and all that stuff, but they're not talking about the root of the problem. And that's what drives the kids to do the things that they're doing.
All right.
Keeping the guns out of school, that's, if the kids are getting picked on, bullied and stuff like that, if they can't get into school, they're going to do it outside the school, But, the people that's getting killed, they're the ones that's usually doing the bullying and the picking on,
Well, sometimes it's just the opposite. Sometimes they were bullied.
Yeah, but, everybody's been on one side or the other, pretty much, even, you got to get rid of the asshole kids or the asshole parents and start making the kids, do the things that they're doing.
But here's the reality. We can't get rid of the asshole kids because we got to somehow keep them from being asshole adults. This is a big thing for the public school system, is how much time do you think, let's say, if you have 3,000 kids, how many of those kids do you think get most of the attention? It's going to be a few of the really smart kids,
right,
and then the real asshole kids.
Absolutely.
And everybody else just kind of wanders through life. But people act like this stuff is solvable, or if the word bullying means anything. You know what I mean? As if you could say the bullying has to stop, and then everyone claps. But what does that shit even mean?
Yeah.
You know? I think we're far from a solution. From what I see with our major news networks, let's just look at the top three: CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Would you say, how much of their language would you say is bullying? Right? Whatever the other side that they're talking about, because they're constantly looking for weakness in the people who have an opposite agenda to them. So the same people who talk about bullying are either bullying Donald Trump and his family, or bullying the people who don't like Donald Trump and his family. It's bullshit, this bullying term. It's a made up bullshit fucking lie. Steve, what's up? All right, we lost you, buddy. Rob, what's up?
Hey, Ron and Gail, thanks for having me on. Hey, I wanted to just chime in. I feel like it's not a single topic debate, and everybody's bringing up some great points. I think one really important factor that you and Gail have both touched on is if the schools just had more money. So much financing has been pulled away, and I think you could grab some of these kids that are troubled if you had more programs in the schools. That
well, we have less than ever. And we just had a giant tax cut of all the major corporations, and no one yelled out, "Hey, how's that going to affect our schools?"
And, people who say it's not a gun issue, it should be a mental health issue. Mental health is not readily available in any professional sense for young people in school. That's not necessarily a place.
Well, there's always that one older lady who's like the guidance counselor,
Right.
who, seems like she's pretty nice.
She's going to try to rap with you.
Yeah.
Figure out what
She always
you're...
has a nice poster on the wall.
Hang in there.
Yeah, I am going to hang in there like that cat. You're right. But yeah, we don't have that. I don't know a school in America where people are going, man, we have the best programs and the best money. They will put out, T-shirts every year, but no, we're far from the things that they act like is normal. Far from it. And Trump said there'll be bonus money for the teachers who are armed. They're going to get a little extra, extra something. And no offense, because I know people get mad about the political stuff from it. But every caller that we've had today that I've even disagreed with, I think have seemed like they put more thought into it than Trump did with that. And I'm not, I'm not attacking him for it, because I know it's out of his wheelhouse. This isn't something that he had set himself up for, and he likes a quick thing. But the armed teachers is probably the dumbest thing so far.
Yeah, I think we should all be able to at least agree that that's not the perfect solution there.
Why don't we take a break here? I know a lot of people want to talk about this, but it's going to get us nowhere. I'd love to just tell you I think that we could come up with this, but it's nuts. Next Thursday, there's a great new comedy coming to NBC called AP Bio. We're throwing a party over at Vito's house. We're all the guys from not just our show, but Jim and Sam and Nick DiPaolo wants to be there. We all want to get together to watch the new NBC show AP Bio. It stars Glenn Howerton from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia as Jack Griffin, a disgraced Harvard philosophy scholar who ends up teaching advanced placement biology at a high school in Toledo.
Except he has no interest whatsoever in teaching the kids biology. Instead, he'd prefer to use the smartest kids in school to help him get revenge on his academic rival. And believe me, Jack will stop at nothing to get his revenge.
AP Bio is smart, it's outrageous, and I think you'll agree it's funny in a sick, twisted kind of way. AP Bio also stars comedy legend Patton Oswalt as the school principal, doing his best to keep Jack in line. The school is from the executive producers Seth Meyers and Lorne Michaels from SNL.
Critics are raving that AP Bio is hilarious and laugh out loud funny. You won't want to miss this show. Catch the premiere of AP Bio starring Glenn Howerton and Patton Oswalt next Thursday.
Bennington Show. 866 Rock God, 866 Rock God.
844.
844 Rock God, 844 Rock God. If you dial 866, you'll be arrested. Matt in New Hampshire. You're on Bennington.
Hi, how you doing? I just wanted to point out the irony of we're both old enough to remember when school teachers had paddles in the classroom, and the reason they don't anymore is they couldn't handle the responsibility of some of them not beating the shit out of kids with paddles, so now you want to give them a firearm?
It is true. The paddling thing was fairly irresponsible. Tony in Iowa. Tony.
Yeah, hey, please take this with a grain of sarcasm, but remember No Child Left Behind? Well, what if they start making the teachers score a certain, amount on, like, Call of Duty, so they'll be on par with the shooter kids?
All right, so they've got to spend hours and hours playing Call of Duty. Now, the Trump is actually talking about this as we speak. He said it would be much cheaper to have armed teachers more than armed guards, and that is absolutely true.
Yeah,
it would be cheaper.
It definitely would be.
But it would be, well, I don't see anywhere near as effective, even if that was your idea of what to do. I just don't see an algebra teacher who I'm going to imagine is going to have an assault rifle, right?
Right.
Yeah.
He's not going to have less than the people coming in through the front door. So I don't know where he puts it. I don't know where it happens, how you keep it away from the other kids. Todd, what's up?
Good morning. You were saying earlier that all the shooters you mentioned were boys.
Well, they tend to be, yes.
They do, but we had outside of Philadelphia in Springfield Mall, we had a young girl who shot up the mall with a rifle back in 1986 or 85.
Yeah, I don't recall that story, but yeah, I don't doubt that there isn't the occasional.
Yeah, but they're incredibly rare in comparison. I mean, I know that, I'm sure that there's been a handful, but it's definitely rare.
Luke in Wyoming. Luke.
How are you?
Yeah.
The gun control thing, the problem with that is guns aren't set for just hunting. Guns are set to control a tyrannical government if we ever had to overthrow it. So if you control our guns and all we have is pistols, there's no way that's ever going to happen.
Yeah,
There's no way to protect ourselves in any way.
I don't see you ever, if you end up with a Nazi government, I don't see you able to be defending yourself against that. I mean, I don't know what your fear of law enforcement is or where it came from, but it seems like a long shot that you're going to be the protector of us, that if we somehow have this dark government.
At least you got somewhat of a chance.
No chance. No chance at all.
It's laws. It's laws when they set them. It's a basis. Like when they set the seatbelt laws, they say, "Well, we just want to get people to wear seatbelts. We're not gonna fine it. We're not gonna pull you over for it." Within months after they got that law passed, then they passed the other ones. It opens the door, and how far is it going to go before they unarm the law-abiding citizens?
What is the response to that seatbelt law thing? Is a lot less deaths. If it was a lot more deaths, I'd be with you saying I'm really frightened about the seatbelt law. But it seems like it's worked out pretty well.
It was just just I'm not saying that the seatbelt law was a bad law. I'm saying it was a way to open the door.
But what I'm saying is this: you seem to be more dangerous than us than this government. You know what I'm saying? That there's a better chance that somebody with your thinking is going to be a danger to innocent people more than the government and our military suddenly turning Nazi. And if anything has happened in my lifetime, it's that the SWAT teams seem more paramilitary. And the reason why they are is because people have more effective guns.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, if you think about Nazi Germany and you're a family and you're hiding in your home and then you have a gun, and let's say you shoot the first person who walks through the door, how quickly would they still be able to take control of your home and your family? I mean, if we're talking about going up against your entire government, which is the idea that they're going to roll tanks through the cities and have missiles, and they'll have all these weapons. I don't know if private gun owners are going to get very far.
It would be a really bad day. And I'm going to agree with you. I don't know whether some guy with just a bunch of fucking weapons up in his house is going to last long when the drones start coming. Bill in Oklahoma.
Yeah, hi.
Yes.
Thanks for taking my call. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Thanks.
We really enjoy our guns in Oklahoma. And the truth is, do I want to put regulations on guns? I do. I think that to some degree we're allowing people to be able to get guns a little bit too easy. And we're totally fine with waiting, 2 weeks in order to buy a gun. But the real problem, I think, in the school that we have today, and where it all starts at the local level and in the individual school. And until we address that individually, we're never going to be able to break that down. I'll give you an example. My wife, first grade teacher, it starts as early as first grade. We identify children that honestly should not be in that class. We have a private school where she works in the school system, and those parents pay a lot of money for the kids to go there. And sometimes people don't want to be able to tell or can't necessarily say, hey, your kid really needs to be in a different school or he needs to be in a different program that we don't have here. You get 18 kids in a class and you got one kid that's in the corner. Literally, he gets balled up. He's socially inept. The other kids are looking at him and, distracting. And the reality is, as that kid gets older, as he grows, all those kids know that kid from when he was in, pre-K, first grade, second grade. Yeah, he's going to end up, eventually the kids are like, hey, what the fuck? Randall, we'll call him Randall. His name's not Randall.
Yeah. Randall's a weirdo.
Yeah, he's a weirdo. And he becomes this and that. And then he's going to be bullied and everything else. But the root of that problem wasn't the kid. The root of the problem was the parents not being aware that, hey, he does not necessarily need to be in this school just to be able to say, I go to school.
These are really, really complicated problems. And we're never able to admit that. And, we say stuff like, let's just give the teachers guns, which seems like it would make more problems. But what's the upside of him saying that? The next time that there's a school shooting, he could say, see, if the fucking teachers had guns, this wouldn't happen.
Because you're saying it's purposeful to make an unrealistic claim that'll never happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you could always say that's what would have solved it, but you won't fucking let me do that. You won't let me strap the fucking teachers out. Because believe me, this would never happen again. And get those signs up that say, if you come in here, we're going to kill you. Let's go to Nick. Nick in Baltimore.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
So whenever there's like a big event in the world or in the news or in the media, I always look forward to the show the next day because I think you and Gail do the best job of almost anyone out there of rather than starting with a viewpoint and making it fit the problem at hand. You guys do a great job of taking the problem at hand and then walking it back to find a solution based on real facts and rationale. It's like you just said, this isn't one issue. This is a lot of issues. And you have people that are predetermined to think, well, kids are spoiled, that's the problem, or we have too many guns, that's the problem. And they want to just label the one thing. And I appreciate the conversation that you guys facilitate and entertain where you acknowledge, hey man, it's a lot of things. Let's throw everything on the board and let's figure out, what combination of things are going on. So
Nick, it's interesting that you would call with this because I just found out that Washington, D.C. wants Gail and I to jump into helicopters right now, go there and express this show to an open meeting on the Senate floor.
I'm willing to serve now that I've been called upon.
I don't know if I'm going or not.
I think they have free snacks on the flight, though.
Yeah, what I like to get is a little cash on the barrelhead, you know what I mean? I want to wet my beak. Andrew in Indiana.
Yeah, Ron, I just wanted to ask your personal opinion about kids in the state of Texas, that they're allowed to carry on campus at 21. I think that's kind of insane to be able to go into a classroom or dorms with all the drugs and drinking going on. What's your opinion on that?
Well, this is the first I heard about it, so I don't know much about it. I mean, if something is legal, it's legal.
Yeah. True.
So if there's already a law that said the person can carry on campus, it's already done. But this happens at colleges, and that's always scary and heartbreaking. When it happens at high schools, it seems even worse, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's some dumb kid gets a fucking idiotic idea. I mean, I can see it. I mean, I'm around. Vito, how old are you?
I'm 25.
He's 25. And I can honestly tell you that his brain has not yet formed. I'm expecting big things from him.
Yeah.
2 years from now.
It's almost like he still has a little fontanelle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's still becoming solid in the brain department.
If I was to quote the Doors, I would say his brain is squirming like a toad.
It's funny you say that. I was just feeling my head, and it felt kind of soft and painful.
Well, good for you. That's probably why you're having trouble parting it today. Ever try to part your hair? Because I see you just swooping it forward.
Yeah,
what
it's
what
really
did you come up
bothering me.
with? Like, now that you have long hair, you got to think about this.
I have a comb in my backpack, but it doesn't stay back. So I end up just trying to use the headphone thing as a headband, and I go like
Okay.
this, and then I swoop it.
Do you think maybe just back is not the direction then? If your hair doesn't want to do that, you're fighting
Right.
something that doesn't want to be.
I don't want to do headbands anymore, but I mean, maybe a hat. Maybe it might be time to wear hats more often. I don't know. This is a big time for
The
me.
sweaty hat for you would be unbelievable.
See, this is what we're talking about. He's not yet formed as an adult.
And it's another complicated problem.
Yeah, there's so many things, so many factors going into this.
Rich in Philly. What's up, Rich?
Hi, guys. Listen, I wanted to talk to you guys about why I think it's going to be a little different this time as opposed to before. Now, the victims are speaking, right? If the kids in Sandy Hook would have been able to speak up, and you saw the impact that this shooter had on the kids, I think it would have made a major difference. I think that these kids, like you said before, Ronnie, are able to speak so eloquently. You can see the pain and disappointment on their faces. I think it's going to make a difference. I'm not saying it's going to make a big difference. You're seeing people destroy their automatic weapons on the internet, something you didn't see before. I'm praying to God it has a snowball effect, and I think it is going to make a difference, Ronnie. I mean, it can't get worse. It can get worse. I hope it doesn't. But that's why I think there's going to be a little bit of a change, because the victims are actually speaking. Now, had those babies been able to speak at Sandy Hook, my God, there would have been a major difference, I believe, my opinion. But now that you're seeing kids that actually saw their classmates die and their heads blown off, and you're seeing the victims at the hospital, and they're able to talk the way they are about the way the NRA never does anything about it, I think it's going to make a big impact. I hope it does. I pray to God it does.
Well, I mean, I saw the parents who had lost their little children in Sandy Hook speak, and I thought it was amazing, and in no time at all they were attacked. These kids are just on the front rows of getting attacked, and I don't expect them to keep up their passion, because I think they'll want to go on and live a life.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are hoping somehow that these kids do the heavy lifting and goes on. So I'm not as trusting that this is any more than just a short trend, a craze, if you will.
I'm definitely hopeful because there is something that feels like we could possibly keep the conversation going. But no matter what happens, it really does feel like it's going to settle into something much longer. There's not going to be a short solution to it. And absolutely, these kids are already, a couple days in, getting beat down by so much attention and people trying to find dirt on them and people trying to figure it out. And that's an exhausting life. That's an exhausting life for an actual politician or a celebrity, let alone, a 17, 18-year-old kid.
Look, you saw Marco Rubio go in there and let some people beat him up last night because he knew in the long run he'll be able to say, hey, unlike these other people running for president, I was there. Right. I was trying,
And he was getting congratulations from those kids, like, hey, thanks so much for being the one guy who would stand here and take this.
Even though he gave nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He just gave the regular talking points that he ever had. So I just saw that as nothing but theater. I thought that Trump, even attempting that, was so far out of his normal thing that I was shocked with it. But I'm seeing him today talking somewhat, in my opinion, a little silly, sillier than this problem merits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We know that there has to be some kind of school security. We know it now.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
And no matter what, again, like I said, I don't think there's a fast solution for this. So I think implementing fast solutions while we figure out the problem as a whole is important. And maybe school security, focusing on...
We're not going to get security guards in there. His attempt is to say we're going to give guns to teachers. And it's just not going to happen anyway.
No, that's not...
It's just not going to be a major thing that's embraced by the school boards, the teachers union. Nobody's going to do this. That thing that he's saying is just talk. And do I think they have the money for guards? I don't. We don't have the money for most things in school.
Yeah. And it would probably entail taking money away from things that people are not willing to take money away from.
They don't have money.
Yeah,
they don't have money. They don't have money for most things in schools now. Vito, you were saying that you didn't have any other foreign language classes but German, but Spanish.
Yeah.
You couldn't take German or French.
No.
It always used to be German, Spanish, and French are the three that you could take.
There was
straight Spanish.
There was a Latin option, but that was only for
you were a Catholic.
Yeah, there was only
that's unique.
Yeah.
I've never went to a school that offered anything other than Spanish my entire life. Now, granted, I went to elementary school when I was young. I was in Florida, so that was the focus down there. Then when I moved up here, but I have never gone to a school that offered French or
you
anything.
speak perfect Spanish now.
That's the thing that's so sad. I mean, the amount of years of Spanish that I have taken. And if somebody is speaking Spanish to me, I can pick out 5 or 6 nouns from what they just said, but I could not give you a full translation, and more importantly, could not respond back with.
Fez had Spanish from 1st to 12th grade, and then 4 years in college, and can order tacos. And I mean, he passed everything. You know what I mean? Like, he passed.
Oh, yeah.
So you would think to yourself, 16 years of the language, you should be pretty immersed. Babelfish can teach you in 4 weeks, they claim.
Yeah, but they don't teach you word translation. All they do is focus on, like, how to make adjectives and the proper way to use the sexes and stuff like that. It should just be like, you learn how to say apple, you learn how to say book, you learn how to say bathroom.
Well, you came up with something that makes it harder, is that when you even think of it as a translation. You know what I mean?
Right.
The second you think, here's the English word cup, what's the Spanish word?
Tazo. think
it already feels fucking foreign to you by the time you're saying, I want a tasso of coffee. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a tasso. That's the word. It's just that. And that's when, like, that's why, like, if a little kid has a Spanish grandmother, right? And they're learning English and Spanish at the same time. There's kids in my building. I've watched them grow up. Their parents are German. They're just like regular American New York kids, but they speak fucking German perfectly. But I hear them going back and forth between German and English all the time.
Right.
Like one sentence is German, and then the kid will answer his mom in English, and then they'll fight. They don't see a difference between German and English. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
Like, that's the confusing thing for us. We think to ourselves, here's the English. Now how do I move over to the fucking German?
I know two couples who have babies who are learning. They're bilingual. One family has a German mom.
Mm-hmm.
The other family has a Japanese mom. So both of these 1-year-olds are learning two languages at the same time. And I'm constantly listening to the way they talk to them, and they don't seem confused. They just are like, oh, that's
right.
That's that, and this is that. You know what I mean? Like, they're just going to think totally differently.
But that's why Melania speaks like 7 different languages.
Right.
Now, if you listen to her English, you're like, that's not the best English I've ever heard.
Right.
But she can do it 7 different ways.
Right.
Here's what I never understand in school. Why are we suddenly making the kids write it? Why don't you just fucking speak it more than anything else?
Right.
Here's my point. Teach people broken Spanish. And they would have a much better time than if you had them sitting there working on adverbs in Spanish.
Right, conjugating.
Yeah, forget that. Just fucking try to do the passable Spanish, and your life would be fucking great. You'd be able to go to half the world,
right,
and get yourself around. But no one's going to say, "I'm glad you're here. I want you to edit a book now." You know what I mean? You're wasting your fucking time. People aren't even writing English. Just see if you could speak just passable, so somebody could get. Oh, you mean the train station? I think they think too fucking much. You know what I mean? They want you to do too much.
I know people in my building who use the Spanish-speaking maintenance crew as like Spanish lessons for their kid. So I'll see them walk out the building, and the kid will say like, "Hi, Eduardo," and the mom will tap the kid and go, "Say it in Spanish."
Your building is so fucking disgusting.
And they make him say, "Hola, Eduardo, ¿cómo estás?"
This had nothing to do with what we're talking
But that's
about.
a good. But conversational is easier to learn than just reading in a book.
I don't believe you at all. Here's what I'm trying to say. Pig Latin. Teach a kid Pig Latin, and he'll fucking eat for a lifetime. Teach a kid Latin, and he has no fucking chance of making it, other than saying, "Stop touching me," to a priest. But they never say that. Oh, look, we'll teach you just enough to get by if you're on the street down there.
Right. You're going to find your way. You're going to find your way to the bus stop, which is like really the most important thing.
Nick in Nebraska. What's up, buddy? Big Dick Nick is gone.
Oh, no.
Hey, Julie. Not too cool, Julie. What's up?
I think I'm pretty cool. I think I'm pretty cool.
I know. I was just doing something from Valley Girl. I never forget that girl.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I just tagged you guys on Twitter with an article about a school in Shelbyville, Indiana that's supposed to be dubbed the safest school because of their security system that they've got. There's red lines in every classroom that will, as soon as the kids hear the alarm, they go behind that red line so that whoever is causing the threat will not be able to see them or hit them if they shoot through the door. Well, actually, the doors are bulletproof, but they can't see them anyway. They've got like smoke things that come out of the ceiling, and they've got video cameras everywhere that are tapped into the police department so that they can see what's going on.
Well, I definitely want. Yeah, I'll definitely read this article, but I would always say this: we don't know until it's tested if it's the best ever. You know what I mean?
I've definitely seen also those people like people selling those things that like bar the door. I don't know, like people are sharing it a lot on social media.
Yeah.
It's like a thing that slips under the door, locks the door, and they're saying,
Don't leave your house without this in your purse.
Right. Well, that won't fit in my purse.
Yeah.
Um,
Tiny thing.
but the bad thing about this system is it costs a cool $500,000 or $400,000.
Well, we got nothing but cash. You know what I mean? Hey.
Send it on over.
Hey, if money solves it, we ain't got problems. That's what I like to say, because we got money. All right, thanks, Julie. Pat in Buffalo.
Ronnie, longtime fan. Hey, before I get into my point, I wanted to say when I was watching the Super Bowl and they came back and won, I immediately thought of you and your love for your eggs. So
Yeah, we went crazy. We went crazy. Where's those DVDs, Vito?
They don't ship out until March 5th.
That's what I had a feeling of.
They didn't tell
Thank
me
you.
until I bought them.
All right. I'm glad to finally get to the bottom of it. When were you going to tell me?
Just found out today.
I don't believe you. I honestly don't. You and Chris is tapping away over there, and I begged him not to tap today. I begged him to switch out with you if he's working on this other thing. Can't do it. Here I am solving the goddamn gun issue in America, right? What am I making safe? Children. That stop him from... What are you tapping about now?
The same thing.
You know we had words, right?
Yes.
And I told you I can't concentrate.
Yes.
And you said, won't happen again. Why are you tapping? Why won't you and Vito just switch spots? Why is that a problem?
I think that would. I don't want to.
It would 100% to not have you tap. It's hard for me when I'm talking to, quite frankly, North America. All right. I'm talking to 50 states and I don't know how many provinces. I'm going to say 8, but I don't know. And to have a guy 2 feet away not paying attention, it throws you off. Like if I was on stage, right?
Yeah.
And you were just next to me and you were dancing and stuff, I wouldn't be able to do my fucking show except for if I focused on you.
Remember when Jessica Kirsten was saying when she only looks at the one person who was looking at their phone 2 or 3 rows in, even though everyone else was enjoying themselves?
How does she not realize that she has fantastic eyes?
I don't know. That's strange because it's not only just the eye; it's also eyelashes. Like her eyelashes are phenomenal, and then she has like these really beautiful dark brown eyes.
But you know, when I say eyes, I always mean eyelashes as well. 100% of the time.
You can't just have the eye and no lash.
If you had the beautiful blue eyes, let's say, and no eyelashes, I would scream like you were a maniac. I'm going to settle this thing on this. Yeah. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it because it's creating a fucking problem a month out. So let them know. And when they go, why did we do something wrong? She says, because I can't stop tapping. Okay. And that'll be the fucking thing. I'm not making it up. For me to do these things, look, I don't want to come off like a fucking Michael Strahan here. Okay. Vito, why do you have a burner account? And why are we being told that?
I just wanted you guys to know about my new email, Vito's burner email.
But I felt like you felt like that news was so edgy that you couldn't have it on your regular account.
That was just the first of many. That's my new gossip emails.
Also,
Vito's burner email.
I need to tell you that is the exact opposite point of a burner email. Is so not to be identified.
Right.
Vito's burner email is like the silliest thing I've ever heard.
And suppose you give a secret message and then chuck that thing.
I just
not keep a full-time burner account.
I still need you to know who it's from.
Here's Paul in Georgia.
Yeah, hey, since we're not supposed to talk about religion or politics, I'm going to switch it up a little bit and go to religion. I heard you mention that Vito was Catholic.
Yes.
And I've got a question for him, because this happened to me this past Sunday at church. I received communion, and as I had it in my hand, I dropped it on the floor. And I looked up at this priest. He looks like a biker. Anyway, I looked up at him and stared in his eyes, and he looked at me. Neither of us, I don't think, knew what to do. So I bent down and I picked it up. But then I didn't want to eat it because I'm right there in front of everybody, in front of the church. So I waited till I went around the corner. I'm thinking, well, this is the body of Christ. I can't throw it in the garbage.
Right.
So I ate it.
I believe all of our phone lines just went down at the same time, Vito.
Whoa, that was weird.
Yeah. Every single phone line went out.
But I would like to say, personally, I think you made the right choice.
By eating it?
I think you've got to go, 5-second rule on the body of Christ. You got to dust it off, but I don't think you're supposed to throw that away. It's already been blessed. It's now the body of Christ.
But look,
it must be consumed.
I know that today's buddy Christ world doesn't work this way, but it used to be you didn't ever put that in your hand.
Yeah.
It went to your mouth and there was that thing underneath your chin in case it fell. So
I was always an altar boy just holding the little thing to catch it. So that shouldn't
Vito,
even
what
happen.
happened to the phones?
I don't know. I just called engineering. They're gonna come over and figure it out.
But did they work at all?
No. Right now the phones are down. It's an.
I just watched them like it was like a movie. Like I just watched bing bing because we had just completely, and they went out one at a time, not as a thing.
Weird.
Yeah, it was like one of those movies where you're just like, I don't understand it. We just lost Nebraska. Chicago's gone. How long have I asked that dude's name? I can't get anybody to find out. Jeannie needs a So Vito, you don't know what happens when the host hits the ground.
I don't know. I think you go on your knees and you lick it up.
No, you do not. That cannot be the answer.
I didn't touch it with my hand. To this day, I've never touched one with my hand. I don't even understand that gimmick.
Yeah, because now you have the option, and you have to show by either mouth agape or hands out, so they know if you are a mouth person. It goes in the mouth, and usually it's always the older people because
they want to do it right, and the younger people are all like germ fucking like. I'm not in his germy bottle of Christ. I hate the fact how fucking people panic around a germ. You send people in the other room like we did with Vito and Chris.
Yeah, quarantine.
I'm with you. I'm a tongue boy when it comes to
Vito, you feel bad we're not doing that gig now a month from now?
I think we should still do it.
Nope.
I don't think he was dealing with it right now.
You think it was something else?
I think it was something else.
It wasn't something else.
Dude, if you got caught lying, then we could all have a good laugh and we move on.
I'm not lying.
Were you texting your girlfriend?
No, I'm not texting my girlfriend.
Dude, you're not going to Austin either because you were passing out there last year.
I was fine.
I don't know.
So sweaty though.
Here's the two options I have for Austin: a fucking tripped out Vito high on mushrooms, or a fucking Chris Stanley who can't understand that we are 3 rocks away from the sun.
Like he's tripping out and hallucinating, but just dehydration.
Yeah, they say you can trip on dehydration.
Look, that phase is over. I did that, and I didn't pass out in front of Don. So
I didn't pass out. I sat down and drank a glass of water.
Yeah, but you did it in a dramatic way.
Water and you were sweating.
Because even though I didn't see that moment, I saw you during the trip, and I was very believable. I was like, yeah, I've seen him in this state for the past 3 days.
Yeah, it's hot out. We're in the goddamn Texas
That's
sun.
why I don't want to take you down there, man. That's for people that can fucking comprehend it.
I'll just know to keep hydrated throughout the day as opposed to not drink water and then pound it.
Your blood is too thick for it. Sludge in there.
Yeah. Mike Racine's going to start bottling and jarring his fucking blood. Selling it as a fucking tasty thing for people. Let me just say.
Oh, God.
On our side it works, though.
They said they're working on it. I think it's an internet thing.
Internet?
What?
That's supposed to make everything better, not worse. Tell them to watch *Halt and Catch Fire*. They'll understand what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Tell them we started a new company called Mutiny. All right? We're going to go one, you know what I mean? It's just going to be like a total mutiny all the time. You guys don't watch one of the shows that I fucking watch. None of you even watch Counterparts, which I'm shocked.
I can't. I'm not able. I don't have stars. I tried to Amazon. Amazon said, we're not going to let you watch this if you don't have stars. I thought, why would you tease me on Amazon?
You know what, then? Let me give Vito to get your part-time job on Saturdays. That's where his stars money comes from.
That's how I pay for stars. Cinemax. The movie channel.
Just going to name fucking cable networks?
He's a weird kid, right?
Epics.
He's just kind of a weird dude.
No, he's way weird. Vito's way weird. But
the length of time until he said epics.
Yeah, he had the
epics. Forgot that one.
Mm-hmm. You got epics.
Streaming services. Netflix, Hulu.
Don't laugh at him because it makes it seem like it's good what he's doing. Trump just said we're going to harden up the schools, not soften them up.
I don't think anyone was calling for the softening, but...
And then the NRA blamed the FBI, mental illness, and security for a shooting. They want more guns. Mentally ill is that motherfucker right there, fucking speaking in front of that.
Yeah.
He's as loony as loon fuckingville. Nothing will change, Gail. Please remember that.
You want me to squash the hope I have now?
Squash it. We better put a break on this because I don't know what we got coming up. I never got the word on that. Is that in or out?
It's in.
When was I going to know that? Why don't you text LA and have them text me from that?
No.
He said no.
He does it all the time.
No.
He would have been just free to talk openly in the other room. It wouldn't have bothered me at all. Well, text them this. Next Thursday, there's a great new comedy coming to NBC called AP Bio. It stars Glenn Howerton from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia as Jack Griffin, a disgraced Harvard philosophy scholar who ends up teaching advanced placement biology at a high school in Toledo.
Except he has no interest whatsoever in teaching the kids biology. Instead, he preferred to use the smartest kids in school to help him get revenge on his academic rival. And believe me, Jack will stop at nothing to get his revenge.
AP Bio is smart, it's outrageous, and I think you'll agree it's funny in a sick, twisted kind of way. AP Bio also stars comedy legend Patton Oswalt as the school principal doing his best to keep Jack in line. The show was from the executive producers Seth Meyers and Lorne Michaels from SNL.
Critics are raving the AP Bio is hilarious and laugh out loud funny. You won't want to miss this show. Catch the premiere of AP Bio starring Glenn Howerton and Patton Oswalt next Thursday.
Amy Hawthorne and Phil Duckett are in studio.
Woo! Hello.
Amy's the booker for New York Comedy Club. Go to NewYorkComedyClub.com for showtimes and tickets. And Phil's the winner of New York Comedy Club's Comedy Competition 2017 on Twitter at
way to go,
Phil.
Oh, thank you guys.
You'll never have to work another day in your life.
That's what they say. That's what they say.
Comedy competitions are so funny that way, right? Like, it seems like when you're in the middle of it, there's nothing more important. And then you're like, now what? I won the competition.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, we're like, could you go restock the beers? We're out.
Stress levels through the roof during those things.
Well, the club is going great, too.
Yeah.
It's got to feel fantastic.
It's pretty nice. It's nice to see how much it's grown. I mean, it's not even 4 years that it's been under the new ownership. And they've put a lot of work into it. And I've put a lot of my blood, sweat, and tears into it. And it's nice to see it paying off.
What's it take, you think, Phil, to make a cool club? You know what I mean? In the city, what does it take to make a club work?
I think you got to have, good management, man.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of shithole owners and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that, you got good people running it, I think it starts at the top and then trickles down,
There's a couple uptown that I feel like could be turned around tomorrow.
I know.
Drives me crazy.
I know.
There's a couple with such fantastic history to the room, history to the name.
Yeah.
And I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I same thing. There's some I look at and I'm just like, oh God, at every juncture where you had the opportunity to fix this, you picked the wrong path. What are you doing? But like you still root for them. You want it to work. But also, I mean, this is the craziest thing you could ever do. Owning a comedy club is stupid. Why would you do that?
Yeah, it is a dumb idea. It is a dumb idea.
It's like all of the risk of a restaurant in New York City with twice as much risk.
Yes.
Yeah.
And taking a lunch off the table, you know what I mean? Like taking all the time when you're not open, you know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
People don't realize that a lot of times there's 3 hours, but you're paying 24 hours for that club,
100%. Yeah. And like, yeah, I mean, first of all, like you said, the restaurant and bar business alone is complex and difficult enough. But then if you start to add entertainment, and I think if you just add nightlife, it's always going to be complex and always makes a business difficult.
Yeah. I think it takes a special brand of psycho to want to own one of those.
And you know who doesn't care? Phil and his friends. They just want their own careers.
We're just looking for stage time. I don't really give a shit about the other stuff.
It is true.
Yeah.
It is true. There is a limit well, we were talking about this not too long ago, too. Is like, even most comedians don't even see the show as a whole. They see it as their part of the show.
Oh,
Yeah.
We leave, most people just leave after their set. We don't have a clue what's going on. We're just trying to get to the next spot and a little more time.
How many sets are you doing a night now?
On the weekend, I normally do about 4. Yeah, Monday through Thursday, it's normally like 1 or 2. I try to make myself get up at least twice a day just so I feel like I'm doing shit. Cause, that's what I came out here to do. So I have to make sure that.
How long you been doing stand-up?
6 years.
And in New York? How long?
A year and 6 months.
Yeah, that's a big difference, right?
Oh, I was like a road open micer for the majority of my early career. I started in Atlanta, and I was in grad school in Cincinnati, so I was doing stuff in Cincinnati, and I've done stuff in Louisville, Kentucky. Like, I was just bouncing around doing mics. So this is like my first, I guess, like comedy home where I like know people, know some bookers. I'm starting to get up regularly. I got a little buzz going. So
sweet. But then, what's next for you? The road again? But is it a headlining position?
I was in AC this past weekend. I've done Philly. I've gotten a couple of road gigs.
Yeah.
Opening up for a few people here and there. But I don't know. The next thing is, I guess I might try to make a little more money. Try to make it more of a career thing, and just
Good for
baby
you.
steps.
Amy, you see everybody coming through, and you get not as young as the Creek and Cave, but you still have a lot of young performers.
Yeah.
So what are you always looking for?
I look for, this is so stupid and technical, but 3 things. I look for, do you know how to write? Do you understand what a joke is? Or are you just telling me stories like you'd tell someone at the water cooler at your job? I look for some kind of stage presence, because that's a thing. I come from LA, where it's almost more about the presence and the physicality and things like that than the writing. And here it can be a little too much about the writing. Mm-hmm. So you can be a young comic who's been so, successful to your level so far, and you're just like reading off a piece of paper with absolutely no presence. And people aren't paying money to see that.
Right.
And then I kind of look for just like, have you developed your own unique voice yet? Because there's that point somewhere in there, usually around year 3 or 4, where you start telling jokes that nobody else can tell.
Right.
I've had people come in who are perfectly competent in the technical aspects, but I could literally give their entire set to any other comic in the city and it would go just as well.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's got to be when you first start.
Live it up, Phil.
I'm country. Hey, I'm like free Pepsi. Jesus. I don't know how to treat a brother.
This is what you get for your winnings. Free Pepsi.
Yeah. Amy, I was like, when I first got here, just trying to get in touch. I mean, this was like meeting like Ellen or something. I couldn't get no time with Amy. I'm like, listen, I will kill for you. Just to get my audition. And it's crazy. Like, she was the scariest woman I'd ever met. Like, I didn't even know what to say. I was just like, I don't even think I'm gonna talk to her. Like,
which is the oddest thing to me, because you know me, Ron, as I've done comedy group. I was writing for the Interrobang. I was just embedded in everything. I was the peer, or if anything, I was like the lower on the scale person of like, oh, thank you for giving me the time to answer my dumb questions, kind of a thing. And now I've got people who are like, oh my God, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, she didn't smile during my set.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Weird. It's the weirdest change to go through.
But you are the gatekeeper now. You're the gatekeeper. And is that responsibility? There's got to be a lot of people that are good but not quite ready, and it's the last thing that they want to hear.
Yeah, right? Or, I mean, honestly, even worse than that is you just have to, in this city, there's so many people that are good and are ready, just mathematically they lost out.
Right.
There's only so much stage time. It is actually a zero-sum game. You know, there's so many stages, there's so many shows, there's only so many clubs that are A level, B level, C level, etc. So at some point, you look at people and you're like, yeah, you're great. There's nothing wrong with you. But also, I just don't have any extra time.
I talk to people from California that come in all the time, and they're shocked that everybody in all the shows is good, right? Yeah. Like there's no time that you could just go, hey, I'm just going around and fool around a little bit, you know?
Right.
Because who cares? Somebody cares every night.
You got to bring it.
And aside from like if you're like maybe going to an open mic, if you're going to a comedy show in New York, there's, even if it's not your brand of humor, there's never a part where you go, why is this person on the stage?
I know.
You know what I mean? It might not be for you or what
but
you think
you could get why they're good.
Right.
Yeah. But you know, we're talking about how crazy it is to start a club. It's also a crazy thing to say, I'm going to be a stand-up comedian. That's what I'm going to do, you know?
Yeah.
That's
People thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought I was crazy for quitting a career and stuff, like to do this full time. So.
And yet there's something that just feels like you're exactly where you need to be.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
what you should be doing.
It feels like home when I'm on stage. Like, that's it's probably one of the few times like I think I'm like truly happy. Like, you know, when I'm on the stage. And and it's going well. I mean, when I'm bombing, I'm like, well, I could probably get a real job.
I don't think there's very few art forms, I think, that have the same high wire act feeling as stand-up does, you know? And it's always amazing to me, too, is like, it's one thing to do it for a Tonight Show type set, but when you say, okay, get up to that thing and make that happen for an hour. When's the last time you even saw anybody do an hour? Because you guys are mainly...
Yeah, we're mainly a showcase. I mean, at our club, it's been, so in the fall, a comic named Mark Ellis came out from LA and he did sort of a special evening to go along with Comic-Con. But I mean, probably Rory Albanese's special taping was the last time I sat and watched someone do an hour.
Yeah, it's weird, right? After not seeing it for a while, you're like, okay, this is great. Where's the other 4 guys, though? How we get this going?
I kind of go the other way where I'm like, oh, I knew each of these parts because, you know, you see them rehearse each 15-minute chunk, but then there is something sort of magical about how they weave it together into a whole hour and you don't notice that 45 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour has passed. You know, you're like, oh, wow, great job. That was amazing.
Phil, where are you comfortable? What's the perfect set?
Perfect set, like time wise?
Yeah.
I'm comfortable at 30, like when I'm on the road, 30 is like the normal. I can do 45, but after that, man, we just playing with fire.
When you're crowd working through the second time. You said earlier you were a plumber, right?
That's when you're fighting out there, man. You're trying to keep your head above water after 45.
You're crowd working with waitresses, the bar. Chris, we like to do some plugs here too.
Amy Hawthorne and Phil Duckett are in studio. Amy's the booker for New York Comedy Club, and on Monday, March 5th at 7 p.m., the Interrobang presents the Comedy Record Showcase at New York Comedy Club. NewYorkComedyClub.com for showtimes and tickets. On Twitter at Amy E. Hawthorne. And Phil is the winner of New York Comedy Club's Comedy Competition 2017, and on Twitter at Funny Phil Duck.
Funny Phil Duck.
Yes, sir.
I like that.
You know, straight to the point.
Yeah. No bullshitting around. Where you live here in the city?
Oh, that's
always
that's a fun question on air, Mama. Listen, I get around. You know, I'm crashing on couches and stuff. I actually don't have a set address. I do that for the student loan people more so. But.
You're living the life of an HBO
crashing.
Comedy. Yeah.
Except it's real. They don't yell cut. So but no, I mean, I'm making it work for me. So
it really is fun. Like, because I had him in and the whole cast and was talking about that. I'm like, I know people around the country probably think of that as a premise. You know what I mean? Like, oh, what a great... But it is a norm. It is something that actually happens that the comics do.
I bar back at New York Comedy Club and was like, I mopped the floor. And that's how I got to it so quick because I just had to find a way in and somebody quit and they need somebody to mop. I was like, I ain't too good.
Yeah.
That'll buy me a little time. I'll do it.
Do you often do that, Amy, or is that with the comics?
Yeah, we try. We kind of go back and forth on things where we have a bunch of interns, or we had a bunch of interns who were comics, and then they all kind of graduated. Where we were like, "You got to stop answering the phones here. You need to go forth and do comedy." And most of them still work at the club at some level. And then most of the time for servers and barback staff, we don't have comics because it does get in the way. It's a night job. We're asking you to give up your stage time to do this. And we will give you something in return, but it's not, it's golden handcuffs, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, we try to keep our serving staff to be more people who just are in the industry and can do stuff like that. But we do have interns who are comics to kind of give them a break as well.
Do you have to even be careful with some of the younger people not to give them too much praise? You know what I mean? Like,
apparently not. I try to do that. I mean, you know, having again like been sort of embedded, for lack of a better word, for all these years, I know the 7,000 flavors of mental illness they're all struggling from.
Yeah,
and the people who need that kind of encouragement can take it. I mean, I can give them all the encouragement in the world, and they don't hear it. They don't think they're better. And the people who are going to take that too far, they hear me going, that was okay, as that was the most, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I say.
She ain't never said nothing nice to me. I just want to be loved by Amy. I'm just longing for the day to get a pat on the back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so funny. I have a comic that I work the club a lot, who I love personally and as a comic. One day was a little bit stoned, said a joke. I was in the room. I don't think I even heard it. I think I just was staring off and thinking about something. He saw my stone face and he goes, "Oh, in that moment I decided my entire career was over. You were never speaking to me again or giving me stage time." And I'm like, "You're one of my favorite people. I talk you up to everybody. What are you talking about?"
Yeah. But it just takes that one lack of thing.
Or like I'm running. I've said to people too, where like I'll walk in and I'll just be like, "I got to go to the bathroom," and afterwards 3 people will be like, "Well, she hates me. She didn't say hello." I'm like, "I literally told you I had to pee."
All the time. Cause you know, I get to hear all that stuff. They're just like, I mean, I just don't know what I have to do for her to like just.
My favorite though is like sometimes that'll get back to me, and there'll be people who are just not working hard at all. They just come to the bar and they drink, and they spend so much time drinking at the bar that I'm like, where are you getting? You're clearly not getting up. And then they'll like write me this email of like, "I've been hanging out so much, I don't understand why I'm not on your stage yet."
Right.
And I'm like, that's exactly why you're not on my stage yet. I don't care how well you buy beer.
Well, it is true. When I come down to your club, it is the bar is packed.
Yeah.
That you have to walk through, and you're like, "Oh man, they do a big business over here," but it's young guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're all they're all loud and they're performing. You're just like, "Excuse me, just trying to see an actual show."
Yeah, I actually had to send around an email, and sometimes I just have to come out and yell at them, because we do this thing called late night, which is at the end of the second show on weeknights. We give young comics 5 minutes of stage time, and they have to already have been passed to a certain level to sign up for it. But so they come early to sign up for the best spots, and then they are out there and they're being rambunctious and they're loud and they're having a good time. You don't want to stop that, but also you're like, hey, there's a show going on, and also don't get in the way of these customers. They're the ones that are going to stay and watch you, so let them through so they can enjoy the show.
It's a tight move through there.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's really funny is like there is such passion with those dudes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is such passion with people that feel like I'm on a path. You know what I mean? And I believe I'm going to make it. There's something really to admire about that.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
Hope.
Yeah, hope.
It leaves. It starts to fade. Some days it's more than others. You got more hope than others. But
What kind of work were you doing before, Phil? Before you?
I was working with my dad. He's a college basketball coach, so I was his grad assistant, and then I was director of video operations at Miami of Ohio University and stuff.
So you already had the basketball dream die.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I knew after I played college, after my last year playing, I was like, well, I'm not going to do this for a living. My knees were cracking. I was 19, just getting out of bed, cracking. And so I was like, yeah, I'm probably not going to make this.
And coaching is also
It's stressful.
Yeah,
it's
man.
disgusting. I mean,
It's 24 hours a day, and it comes down to a shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether you are happy or sad is one shot every single night. I watch college basketball all the time. I'm like, why am I hanging my hopes and dreams on this? You know?
it gets intense. It really does. And, NCAA, that's a $1 billion business. I mean, so if you're not winning, they get you out of there, which is, again, while I'm here, we weren't winning. So they got us out of there pretty quick. But like I said, I was always doing comedy as more so a hobby when I get off work. When I first graduated from college, I was in insurance. So I was doing that at night. And, it just kind of got to the point where I was making a little leeway in other cities. And I was like, I think I can do this. But then I had other comics who were visiting, like just road comics. They were like, if you really wanted to do this and took it serious, I think you'd be successful. And We'll see. It looks like it's going in the right direction, but who knows,
Well, New York is back to being the Mecca again, right? I mean, it's pretty well felt that this is what it's all about.
I'd say so. I mean, especially if it's stand-up that you care about. You're not trying to be an actor.
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is always odd when you think you're really aiming at two different things, stand-up and acting.
Yeah.
And yet it's expected.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's really expected that you do both.
And I always find it so weird that you get, like, rewarded in stand-up for being a good actor when it's two different sets of things.
Right.
Yeah. And I think, I've also heard from a lot of people, too, if their interest is stand-up, then you find yourself, lucky enough to get management or something. That's always what they're pushing for.
Yes,
even if that's not, so they're like, just go on a couple auditions, see if you can land this. And you're like, that was never the plan. Has to be pretty frustrating.
Well, when people are asking me how to break into serious, I go, I have a movie career now. You know what I mean? Like right now, they're more likely to give a show to somebody who's done movies than they are who had the #1 show in Illinois.
Right.
They just don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing. It's all about marketing and branding. Well, look at some of the people that are at the top now. They could do anything, whether or not they should be doing it or not. Here's a book deal.
Right.
Here's your own TV channel.
And it seems like they just are checking it off the list at this point.
Right.
You're like, yeah, I got a book. I did
Jamie Foxx syndrome.
Right.
Put out a rap album.
I think too, it's like, how do you say no to that money? If
Yes,
you're
you
like,
never would.
someone's going to hand me a pile of money to write a book when someone else is going to write the book for you anyway. Sure,
Right.
You can have my name on that book.
And but you think to yourself, how many people whose dream is to write a book, just to write a book,
Right.
And they work at it every day, and they're like, I don't know who you are.
Right.
Who's going to buy this book?
And then like you go to someone, they're just like, we just don't have the budget to take you on. And you're like, why'd you give this to?
Yeah.
He's very famous.
We gave it all to Kevin Hart. No matter what business you're in right now.
Exactly.
We gave the money to Kevin Hart. Oh.
It's good money.
Who's dropping in at the club? Do you still have Tracy?
Yeah, a little bit, Tracy. Not as much as before. I think he got into a little squabble with one of our servers.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of a heated exchange there, and so he's taken a little time off. But yeah, it's all the usual suspects will come by. Gaffigan, especially if we're doing any kind of fundraiser, he's like so generous with things like that. Gosh, I should have been more prepared and have a good list of this.
But Gaffigan is always a funny name too, because he's such a giant comedian all around the country, but he can still walk in front of people who in New York are going, I never saw him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what's weird about. You could even say the same things about Brian Regan or whatever. Not everybody is known to everybody in comedy.
And then it's interesting, too, the other way, though, of people who can do that, but then they walk into the room, and as soon as they're on stage and people have that context, they're like, oh, yeah, this
now
guy,
I get it. Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
Now
I think
I get
Gaffigan, that happens all the time. He can walk right in. Nobody's going, oh, God. It's not like when Kevin Hart walks in. It's not like when Kevin Hart walks in, everyone goes, oh, my God, that man is so short, and that's who I thought he was.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my God, he has a pocket man. Yeah. You don't even realize. But anyway, Gaffigan can walk in. He can walk all the way to the back into the green room. But as soon as he gets on stage, everyone in the room is excited that he's there.
Why is he down? That little catchphrase thing. People are like, oh, I know him, Hot Pockets.
Exactly.
Hot Pockets is great.
Amy Hawthorne and Phil Duckett are in studio. Amy's the booker for New York Comedy Club. Stand Up on the Spot, hosted by Robbie Slovic, happens monthly at New York Comedy Club. And the club will be hosting showcases for the Big Sky Comedy Festival at the end of March. NewYorkComedyClub.com for showtimes and tickets. And Phil is the winner of New York Comedy Club's Comedy Competition 2017. Follow him on Twitter at FunnyPhilDuck.
Chris has got all different plugs for every single time. That's really interesting. I've never seen you do that before.
Instead of bringing a laundry list, I'll maybe I'll do that at the end.
Speaking of drop-ins, one of the scariest interactions I think I've ever had with Amy. I'm country. I'm country. I'm not used to stuff. People drop in.
Oh
people
my
drop
God.
in,
I
and
almost
I'm not
murdered
used
Phil.
to this shit. And Kevin Hart drops in.
Yeah.
And he's so down to earth. He's so chill. I'm sitting at the bar. He taps my shoulder like, is this seat open? I was like, yeah. Oh my God, it's Kevin. So I'm like already trying to keep my composure, not be a little bitch. And he goes in to do his set. Now, all the young comics, of course, we storm in because we have to see it. And the one thing is, there's no phones. And I tried to sneak and take a picture of Kevin Hart, but my flash goes off. And Amy's eyes just lock with mine. And I was like, well, I'm going to have to move back home because comedy is not in my cards anymore. And she was like, you're done here for a while. My soul almost melted. I was just like, Mom.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to see your face for 3 months.
Yeah, I got banned for 3 months.
You should know better. What are you, a comic or a groupie?
I was like, I'm a groupie today. I didn't know. I didn't know. But no, that was a good experience because it showed me, and she did like later explain. She was like, if you're going to be in this business, you can't act. There are going to be people that drop by that you see on TV and movies all the time. You have to be professional. And so I think that really helped me just try to grow as a young comic in general because, now when I am at the cellar and stuff, it's not, I'm just, I don't even think to pull my phone out.
Right.
Like,
and
just
it
like,
means so much to the club that those people have that comfortability to be there. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like the same way that you don't pull out your phone in a locker room at a spa and just get a good picture.
All those in the spa. I've seen that at Equinox a few times. It's different. It's different.
The other nice thing, though, is like the converse of that is because we do mix comics so much that you'll have older comics who are interested in, maybe not before their set, but after their set, sitting down with young guys and be like, all right, what are you doing? How many times a day are you getting up? Let me tell you what it was like when I was at your level. Here's what you do next. And it's kind of a nice mixing of people just in this natural osmosis environment instead of people having to like seek out a mentor or just ask. Comics give everybody the wrong answer to everything all the time because they made up this elaborate thing of like, okay, so first you go here and you ask this person that, and then you knock 3 times on the door and a troll will come out. And then, at our club, they get to be with there's a headliner and then there's someone doing a guest spot on the show that's 6 years in. Right. And they can be like, oh, I was where you are. This is where you want to go on the road. Here's some club owners to get in touch with and, those kind of things.
I also think it's interesting too, man, is like you're at a point now where older comics can really learn from younger comics because those guys didn't have to deal with the social media aspect of it. Jerry Seinfeld was not thinking about how to market himself all day. He had a manager or whatever. But comics are basically working 24 hours a day now.
Yeah.
You used to be able to take some time off, see a city, then when you went there.
And like the amount of young comics, I think, also who have trying to have a social media presence, but they also do a podcast and they also have to have like a YouTube channel with sketches on it. And you're like, that's exhausting.
Yeah, it's exhausting, and suddenly you feel like, okay, this is how it works, but then it turns into something else.
Yeah.
So it isn't, Periscope, it's Snapchat, it isn't this, it's that. And it's constant.
Yeah, it's constantly changing. And it's interesting because you will see literally every 6 months or so, there's a different thing I would say to a comic of like, here's where to put your effort outside of just always put your effort into stand-up, but like before it would be like look at Louis Gomez, Legion of Skanks, look at what he's grown that into. It's a festival now. He's got a network, all that kind of stuff. Or you'd be like, look at Corinne and Christina with Guys We Fucked. They did a book and then they did a tour that was an experience. It wasn't just stand up. And now they're looking at putting out a pilot. And then like totally differently, Jared Freed is the new person I'm obsessed with. And like, for example, like you're saying, he was 24 hours a day. He was just sitting at home one night and a rom-com came on and he did an entire Instagram story on it that his manager said, we're packaging that. And now he does these like rom-com things. And at the same time, he works with Betches and a couple other things to do Bachelor live tweets and these articles. And like, that's gotten him a whole audience that come out to see him in droves in a way that, it was the same way Legion of Skanks was doing 2 years ago.
Right. And that's how long it takes sometimes, 2 years. Like, I remember it felt like Joe List was just the young guy the other day. You know what I mean? And now you're looking at him, you're like, he's as good as anybody that's ever been doing this. It seems like Greg Stone was just the young guy the other day. It's just so fast that people move up, even Phil, when it feels like it's not happening.
Okay. I was going to say, I don't know how quick you're talking, but give me a little push.
But isn't it funny too, is like those things that could be like, oh, that's really working, but it could also be a cul-de-sac that's keeping them from the big picture. Like sometimes getting these smaller victories are taking you in the wrong direction from what you could be looking into. Yeah. That's why the thing of career planning who knows? You know what I mean? Just keep doing stuff.
Yeah, basically. Put out content, get better. An opportunity will come along. Don't be closed off to it.
Well, Amy, I think it's just so cool that you helped turn around a club that everybody thought was dead.
Was it that bad?
Yeah.
I've heard stories.
It was the worst.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, I haven't been here long enough. I've heard things.
I wouldn't set foot in that place when I first moved to the city. There was no objective reason to be there.
Yeah. And now you have this club. You got great lineups. You got these explosive audiences. There's something about that club that the laughs just come.
It's intimate.
But I don't know whether it's the way that the walls are set up, but
one of our owners is an audio engineer. He designed the shape. Well, there's only so much you can do with your real estate, but he did as much as he could to acoustically make it perfect.
But there's times in that club that I think, better than I thought. You know what I mean? Like, you make that mistake. You know how there's good rooms that are just as bad for your head as bad rooms? That can happen. But yeah, the laughs in that place. Phil, congratulations to you, my man. I hope you swing by here more, and we'll introduce you to all the folks in the comedy department.
You just let me know when to be here.
Yeah.
I'm here.
We're going to do that. And look, there's a big couch if you need a place tonight.
You know what? You're good people. You're good people. I can't even. It's February, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, Chris Stanley, one more plug before we get out of here.
Amy Hawthorne and Phil Duckett have been in studio. Amy's the booker for New York Comedy Club, and coming up there on Monday, March 5th at 7 p.m. will be the Interrobang Presents the Comedy Record Showcase. Also, Stand Up on the Spot, hosted by Robbie Slovak, happens monthly at New York Comedy Club, and the club will be hosting showcases for the Big Sky Comedy Festival at the end of March. NewYorkComedyClub.com for more information. On Twitter at Amy E. Hawthorne. And Phil's the winner of New York Comedy Club's Comedy Competition 2017 on Twitter at FunnyPhilDuck.
And if you're coming in from around the country, this is one of those clubs that you want to be in to go and see comedy, because it's a real New York experience. And it's a really cool audience. There's people from all over the world watching these performers. So there's certain places in New York that you don't want to go. They'll normally stop you in Times Square and try to talk you into it. But there's other places that, to me, is like the best thing about visiting New York. You know, that you get this opportunity to see people in an intimate thing, and it's one of the best experiences you can have. All right, what do we got tomorrow, Chris?
Oh, tomorrow is Nikki Glazer Unmasked at 2 p.m.
Oh, really, really funny. That's a great one. All right, that's it for us. See you again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!